the trustee member and director of the ISES India, Vice Chairman Makayas, Ministry of Culture, Government of India. He is the member of governing body and core general council of ICCR, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, and also EC member and trustee, National Book Trust, NBT, Ministry of Education, Government of India. We would like also to invite the speakers of this session. The first speaker, Dr. Igede Sutarya, Vice Chairman, ICHI Bali. Dr. Igede Sutarya is Associate Professor at Universitas Hindu Negeri I Gusti Bagus Sugriwa Denpasar in the field of tourism studies. Wrote some books about tourism studies, especially about spiritual tourism, such as Pariwisata Spiritual Bali. Published also articles in various prestigious international scientific journals. We would like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Selva Kumar, Head and Faculty Member in the Department of Maritime History and Marine Archaeology, Tamil University, Tanjavur. Welcome. Dr. Selva Kumar is the Head of Department of Maritime History and Marine Archaeology, Tamil University, Tanjavur. He is currently Coordinator at Center for Indian Ocean Studies, Tamil University. Our next speaker, may I invite Professor Dr. Cokorda Gede Tirta Nindya. Professor Dr. Cokorda Gede Tirta Nindya has been a professor of material engineering at Udayana University since 2006. He earned his bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Udayana University and ITS Surabaya, followed by master's and doctorate from Gajah Mada University with joint supervision from the University of Indonesia. May I invite our esteemed chair to moderate and also to lead the discussion for this first plenary session.
Namaskar, Om Shityas. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished speakers and esteemed guests, a very good morning to all of you. It is both an honor and a pleasure to chair this exciting plenary session on waves of exchange, exploring ancient maritime trade routes in the Indian Ocean. As we gather here in Bali, a region steeped in rich maritime history and cultural ties with India, we are reminded of the deep-rooted connections that our ancestors forged across the waters of the Indian Ocean, connections that shaped the course of trade, cultural exchange, and knowledge, spiritual exchange also. The Indian Ocean has, for centuries, served as a conduit for not only goods and commodities, but also for ideas, philosophies, technologies, and religions. The waves that brought Indian traders to these shores carried more than just spices, textiles, and precious metals. They carried a shared heritage that continues to resonate even today. The session will unravel the layers of those exchanges, exploring how they have shaped the identities of India, Indonesia, and the broader Indian Ocean Rim region. We are fortunate to have three distinguished speakers who bring with them a wealth of knowledge and expertise in this domain, each of whom brings an unique perspective on these ancient connections. First, we will hear from Dr. I. Gede Sutarya, who will explore Bali and India relationship and its future. Dr. Sutarya will examine the deep-rooted cultural ties between Bali and India, highlighting historical connections and projecting the future of its relationship, especially in the areas like spiritual tourism. Next, Dr. V. Selvakumar, my very good friend, old friend, and he is associated for a long time with our institute. He is head of the Department of Maritime History and Marine Archaeology at Tamil University, Tanjavur, will present his talk on trade routes of ancient India and the Indian Ocean. His talk will illuminate how ancient India was deeply intertwined with the Indian Ocean trade network, connecting the subcontinent to both the eastern and western spheres of the Indian Ocean, and how these routes facilitated both economic and cultural interactions. There are a lot of new areas discovered at present. Even last 2-3 years back also, we don't know those areas, those unknown areas. He will highlight some points of those things basically today. Finally, we will hear from Dr. Tejokarda Gede Tirtha Nindhia, who will speak on Indian Ooze steel blade and Indonesian Karis blade in archaeological, technological, and religious perspectives. He will draw comparison between these two legendary blades, revealing their technological significance and their spiritual connections in both India and Indonesia. I am certain that their insights will deepen our understanding of the historical and cultural exchanges that have shaped this region for millennia. Without further delay, let us begin with Dr. I. Gede Sutaria's presentation. Dr. Sutaria, floor is now yours. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the applause. Om Swastiastu, Namaskar, Excellency Consul General of India, and also Ambassador of India and Indonesia, and also our colleagues, and also distinguished guests from India. Welcome to Bali, and welcome to the Paradise Island, created by Indra himself, according to mythology. Not according of history. Okay, I will give some presentation about Indonesia-India relationship and its future. That is a big topic, I think, because Indonesia and India relationship come from the beginning of century, I think, and in the 5th century, we found so many inscriptions in Kutai, Kalimantan. Kutai, I think, they are the name of Kuta in Tamil, I think. Kutai is the pronunciation of Kuta for Tamil, I think, Kutai. And we have so many information about the dynasty in Kutai. The founding of the dynasty is Kudunga. According to historian in Indonesia, Kudunga is Indonesia person, Indonesia people. But when we check in India history, in Southern India history and Tamil history, Kudunga is the founding father of the Pandya dynasty. And the son of Kudunga is Mula Warman, and Mula Warman started the Kudunga family use the Warma name, Warma family, and because the influences of the Sanskrit in southern India. And after Kalimantan, the Warma dynasty crossed to the West Java. They created the city over there. The name is Tarumanegara. Tarumanegara, according to our historian in Indonesia, it is a country, but Tarumanagara, according to the Sanskrit, that is a city. Nagar means city, not Nagara. Nagara not mean country, not mean kingdom in Sanskrit, but Nagar means city. And inscription in West Java glorify the king of the Purnawarman, also use the Warma dynasty. That is connected to the Pandya dynasty. And then after in Western Java, Warma dynasty also developed Sriwijaya Empire. And then Sriwijaya Empire, one of the son of Sriwijaya, Sri Kesari Warmadewa, was the first king of Bali. The name is Sri Kesari Warmadewa. That is one describing about the connection between Bali in India, started from the Sriwijaya Empire, started from the Sri Kesari Warmadewa. But before the Sri Kesari Warmadewa, in Bali we found so many proof about the relationship between India and Bali. The initial contact between Bali and India were probably associated with the exchanging good or trade. Several India roulette, ware and bead of glass cornelian were found at Sembiran, Pacung, and other burial site in Bali. That is a research of the Professor Ardika, I think. And also the inscription in Bali from the 9th until 10th century suggests, give us so many information about the center education place in India. Nalanda, Nalanda University, and also Amaravati, and also Varanasi. It means that there are many young generation of Balinese people at the time travel to India to study about philosophy and also Buddhism in India at the time. They reach just Varanasi. Maybe they cannot reach the Rishikesh or Haridwar because I think there are many problems after Varanasi. We can reach Varanasi from the Bengal Gulf, I think, along the journey of the Ganga River over there, and we find Varanasi. And then after the 11th century, Bali-India connection influenced by the Jawa, because after that the Jawa dynasty captured Bali. That is because also the political change in Sriwijaya, in center of Sriwijaya. Chola dynasty attacked Sriwijaya in 11th century. That is because of the fight of this dynasty in southern India. Pandya and Chola was enemy over there in southern India, and after defeated Pandya dynasty in southern India, Chola dynasty attacked the other Pandya in Southeast Asia. The first one is Sriwijaya, and then until Khmer, and also until Burma. Burma also Warma dynasty. The other name of Myanmar is Burma. That is also Warma. That is all the coalition of the Warma dynasty. And after Jawa captured Bali, the dynasty changed to be the Dharma Wangsa Teguh Hananta Wikramatungga Dewa. So they start to use the name of Tunga. Tunga is the name of river in Karnataka, Tunga River in Karnataka. And I think Tunga Dewa indicated that is a source of the ancestor place of the dynasty come from the Tunga River. And after Majapahit era also, in Jawa, when Jawa captured Bali, they gave us the Saiwa religion or the Sakti religion, because Gunapriya Dharmapatni is the follower of the Sakti, follower of Durga. And the idol of my Sasura Mardini is indicated the name of the Gunapriya Dharmapatni. And after Majapahit also give us the Siva also, Siva religion. And until the colonial era, Bali recognized by the colonial government as a Hindu religion, as a Hindus. But for Balinese people, they didn't know what is the religion they follow. They just follow the tradition. But colonial government recognized that Bali is Hindu. And started from the 1926, the scholar of Bali, that is all of them is a guru, is a teacher of elementary school, started to know about India, to get information about India from the colonial newspaper, from the Batavia newspaper. They read about the India national movement in newspaper. They read about the Gandhi, also Chandra Bose, and they speak. Gandhi wrote something like Ahimsa, Satya, and the scholar of Bali recognized very well what is Ahimsa and Satya, because our ancient scripture, Sarasa Musaya and Slokantara mention all about that. And the influences of the Indian national movement also very, very strong to Indonesia movement. So these influences generated the Indonesia movement to reinventing the national pride, the national highest value of Indonesia, reinventing of Pancasila. That is because of relationship of national movement in Indonesia and national movement in India. And also we reinventing Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. Pancasila come from the ancient text Negara Kertagama, and Bhinneka Tunggal Ika also come from the ancient text, the name is Sutasoma, and Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, sorry, and Bhinneka Tunggal Ika come from the Hindu philosophy, of course, Eka Tua, Aneka Tua. And in 1927, Tagore visited Bali, and Tagore recognized so much about the Balinese culture related to India culture. When he visited the Gianyar Palace, they heard the Balinese people chanting Ramayana, and Tagore recognized some of the rhythm of the Kakawin Ramayana. For example, Sardula, Malini, that is a rhythm of the Vedic, and Balinese people can chant very well. But of course, the how to chant is very different with India, because the arrangement, Balinese people chanting arrangement by the genta, ning, 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 and Indian chanting arrangement by sitar, dung, so different how to chant. In the modern era, started from 1970, there are many Western come to Bali, and a Western, yeah, of course, like the other country in the world, at the time, Balinese people also very, very fascinating about the Western culture, and Western people come to Bali as a tourist and then practice so many things about the yoga, something. And some of the Balinese people study about yoga from the Western, and they ask, yeah, what is guru? Where your guru come from? And the Western people said that my guru come from the India. So from the Western again, Bali introduced India again. So they start the reinventing of yoga tradition started from tourism, and today that is all become spiritual tourism in Bali, because there are many tourists come to Bali to practice yoga, because the facilities and also nature of Bali is very comfortable to to practice yoga, and that is a good thing to make our relationship Bali and India more better and better in the future. Thank you very much, because time is up.
Thank you very much. We learned a lot from him. He mentioned about Professor Ardika. He's a renowned scholar from Indonesia, Bali. He's supposed to attend this conference, but his health not permitted. He found from his excavation so many materials, like rowletted pottery and other things, even a teeth of foreign trader, most probably Indian traders' teeth he found from his excavation site. And that proves that India's connectivity, India's relation, ancient maritime connectivity with Bali was not only 800, 900 or 1000 years old. It's more than 2 million year old is relation with India and Bali. And Dr. Sutaria mentioned so many important points in his speech. Thank you again, Dr. Sutaria, for your very informative presentation. Now I invite Dr. V. Selva Kumar for his presentation. Thank you very much.
Good morning to you all. Respected Ambassador to Indian Ambassador to Indonesia, Consul General of Bali, Director of Makikas, and Dr. Aridham, and other fellow delegates and dignitaries. First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to make a presentation on this important seminar connecting India and Indonesia. Next, please. When we talk about this connectivity, why this particular workshop or conference? Because human memory is very short. We forget things. We need to link with the past as well as link with the horizontal spatial dimensions with various culture. Only when we link with these culture, we can better understand our roots and also chart a course for the future. That is why these kinds of workshops, they revive and rekindle our understanding, our thinking, so that we can look into a positive world in the future. Coming to this maritime history, I have 2-3 theoretical kind of presentation. How can we view history? History can be viewed from a single point, history of a particular point where, for example, Vasco da Gama landed. And we can extend history into history of a community, history of a village, history of a meta region, history of a broader region like South Asia, Southeast Asia. Most of us stop at this level. This is where we need to look at maritime history as Afro-Eurasian history. That is how we visualize India-Indian Ocean connections, where we, like the way vulture or Garuda looks the ground, you look history right from the top, then come down to a micro point which is visualized by an ant. Only then you can have a holistic understanding of history. Next, please. Next slide, please. Another point I wanted to highlight is, most of the time we think the sources for history are just written records or archaeological remains. We often forget the source for history is our own body, our own culture, our own language. Humans are biological archives. We carry DNA, we carry a culture, we carry a language which did not come overnight. It has been a product of hundreds and thousands of years. And then only we come to text and archaeology. I think this is a very important point that we need to teach our younger generation. History resides in our culture. History resides in the entire cultural cognition. Next, please. The process of visualization, I think it's very important for archaeologists and historians to visualize. Yesterday, we went to the site where Rabindranath Tagore stayed there. All along the way, we could visualize and experience Bali. And this is an important methodology that we need to highlight. Next slide, please. Trade routes. Trade routes are not routes. They are lifelines of culture. Ideas, goods, people, culture move and spread. Without such interaction, culture cannot survive. So, therefore, if you look at the cultural development, it has been always through exchange of ideas, give and take and borrowing. And this is the central concept that emerges from trade routes. Trade routes are not just trade routes, they are like veins of our body connecting cultures. They are very important, whether we visualize the historical connectivity as well as in the colonial, post-colonial, in the globalizational context, connectivity is very important. That is why this seminar becomes very important. Next, please. So now you can look at this landscape and the connectivity, how India lies in the center of the Indian Ocean, dominating the maritime connectivity. India lies like a kind of honeycomb hanging into the Indian Ocean, connecting the Western Indian Ocean and Eastern Indian Ocean. And similarly, Indonesia and the archipelago lie in the east, connecting the Western world and the Eastern world. See, you can see the commonality between these two important regions through this map. Next, please. You can see the maritime Silk Route as well as the Silk Route that goes across the landscape. Next, please. More details on the sites. I don't have time. I am rushing through. Next, please. Then we have the trade routes of India, the Uttarapada, connecting all the important Buddhist and commercial centers of early historic India, linking from Taxila down to Tamluk in Bengal. And then from Bengal, we had trade routes reaching Southeast Asia. And there was another trade route called Dakshinapada that was linking this Uttarapada with the southern part of India. Next, please. Here you can see in all these sites, very important Buddhist or Hindu or other kinds of cultural remains are there. Many of these archaeological sites have been excavated and revealing lot of ceramic materials, lot of other beads, other materials. Unfortunately, we have not studied them in detail. Recently, I have been looking at some of the material published in Southeast Asia. In Ardika's thesis, I found some script which resembles Indian script. Just this morning only I noted that I need to rework on that. Only, when we re-look at the excavation reports in detail and undertake collaborative study, we can understand these connectivity much better. Next slide, please. Yeah, you can see the Uttarapada and Dakshinapada trade routes, how they were linking the entire settlements and urban centers in the Indian subcontinent. Next, please. Yeah, this is where Bali is. Now you can have a view of the Indian Ocean. Next, please. Again, the Silk Route across the sea and the maritime Silk Route or Spice Route that connected India with the east and west here. Next. So here, this map you can see, we need to map the entire region with archaeological remains. Here, you can see in this map the Roman coins found in India, and these kind of material culture tells us about the connectivity. Then, next please. Then we have amphora. These amphoras are beautifully described in early Tamil literature as yavanas. As the vessels brought by the yavanas, they brought the wine, fine wine, and they were consumed by the Pandyan king, which were offered by the beautiful damsels. And so we tried to correlate the textual remains and the amphora sites, and you see the interesting pattern here. Next. Yeah, this is the rouletted ware, which was spoken by the previous speaker. He said about this rouletted ware. This rouletted ware is an important ceramics that connects India and Indonesia. This connection dates back to 3rd century BCE. So these are the rouleted ware sites. They are found mainly on the east coast, mainly on the southern part of India, Sri Lanka. They have been found in Oman. They have been found in Egypt. They have been found in Thailand. They have been found in Indonesia up to Vietnam. They have been distributed, and this pottery is considered to have been produced in the Ganga Brahmaputra delta, somewhere near Tamluk and Chandragedugar. This ceramic is very important. This particular ceramic is found in Bali Island. Next, this is another pottery called paddle impress ware. This is also an important pottery that connects with India, with Southeast Asia, especially Indonesia. In addition to that, we also have certain references in early Tamil literature. For example, the terms referring to boats, for example, Padahu, which is considered to have derived from Prahu, and there is another term called Banka, Bangam. It occurs in the early Tamil literature, and these two terms definitely point to the connectivity between India and Southeast Asia, probably in the prehistoric periods. We have clear evidence of these terms occurring in the early Tamil literature. The Tamil literature clearly speaks about the ships of Banka going down to Ganga Valley, mainly the Calcutta region, and also to Southeast Asia. So this particular boat tradition clearly links Southeast Asia and especially Indonesia with India. And then we have this particular ceramics which are distributed across all the sites in South India, and they also point to a connectivity with Southeast Asia. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah, this is another network on the western side of Indian Ocean. This is known as the frankincense network. India was well connected with the sites on the West Asia and Egypt and Europe, and along the many sites we have inscriptions, early inscription. We have individual names found in some of the sites. For example, at Bernike, there are two names one name has been found. It is known as Kotta Puman. This is identified as a Tamil. Another site called Kuser al-Khadim, which is lying along the trade route. There we have Kannan and Satan as two names, clearly indicating the connectivity with India. There is another name called Nandai Kiran occurring at Oman. That also indicates a connectivity with India. This is on the western front. Now I'll quickly come to the next, please. Quickly come to, since we don't have time. Next, please. This is a stone found at Thailand. It reads Perum Patankal, dated to 3rd, 4th century. Very interestingly, it was a goldsmith's touchstone, which indicates that people who are seeking gold were traveling to this part of the country. Next, this is a Pallava coin with a ship motif found in Thailand. Next, I'll come to Indonesian part. Tung Tuk, Thailand, a beautiful Ganesha image. Next. Yeah, this is the Mahanavika Buddhagupta inscription found in Thailand. This is also very important. This person, he came from Bengal region. This is very important evidence connecting India and Southeast Asia. Next, this is another, next please, another inscription from Sungai Mas, and this also is identified with Buddhagupta, clearly linking Bengal region and Southeast Asia. Next, we have roof tile. When I saw the architecture of Bali, I was very much impressed. They look exactly like what we have in Kerala, and we find interesting tiles, roof tiles found in Vietnam. They are very similar to what is found in Tanjavur, Chola site at Gangaikonda Cholapuram. They are also depicted in the painting. Next, please. And again, Mulavarman's inscription. And you have seen this Kutai site. I will not go. There is no time. Next, please. And Batujaya. Batujaya is another important site in West Java where we have rouleted ware. So what I am trying to highlight is we are talking about the connectivity from 5th century CE, but we have material going back up to 3rd century BCE. If we look at literature and language, this connection is prehistoric. That's what I wanted to highlight. Next, this is Buni complex, again in northwest Java, where we have rouleted ware, complete vessel of related ware which was produced in India, nowhere found. It is found only in Indonesia. It is there at Museum National Jakarta. Nowhere we have intact specimen because these people kept them in the burial. We get them complete evidence. Next, please. Next. Yeah, this is Goba Kandel where they have found related ware. Next, please go fast. Yeah, these are some of the pottery. Next. Yeah, Sembiran, already the speaker said, I will not repeat. Next. Next. Yeah, Bali, on the northern part of the Bali, we have the site which was excavated by Ardika and other researchers. Next. Yeah, next. Yeah, Merchant Guild inscription. We have very important inscription, Lobutuva and Niyosu as a Tamil inscription. They talk about the mercantile activities across the Southeast Asia. Next. Next, please. Yeah, this is Quanshu inscription in China. This is also very important, indicating the connectivity between India, Southeast Asia and China. Next. This is a bell which has a name Muhaideen Wakusu Udaya Kapalmani, which is dated to 13th, 14th century. It talks about the ship owner Muhaideen Wakusu. It was found in New Zealand. This is another important evidence. Next. Yeah, this is the connectivity. You can see how these maritime trade routes linked West Asia, South Asia and India and Southeast Asia, not only with us and the entire Afro-Eurasian world. That is what I wanted to highlight. There are more to say, but I don't have time. Now I'll come to the concluding slide. Come. Next. Yeah. So actually, the trade routes are cultural routes. Actually, they talk about the linkages and how people to people connect is very important. How these connectivities have nurtured culture, ideology, religion. We see evidence of Buddhism and Hinduism everywhere here. So these connectivities were supported by the this trade route or lifeline. This connection dates back to the prehistoric period. We need to do further research. We need to build network. We need to have student exchange programs. We need to have scholarly exchange programs. Only then we'll be able to better understand this cultural connectivities. Thank you.
Thank Professor Silva Kumar. Ocean is, hello, ocean is not deep water body, but deep knowledge also is available inside the ocean. So there are a lot of tangible heritage are found in ocean related area, Indian Ocean Rim area. 3 years back I visited hello. 3 years back I visited an ancient port site of East Africa. I visited that site only for a special thing. I want to visit the archaeological site. There they found 2000 years old Indian breed black-headed chicken's bone. East Africa. 2000 years old Indian black-headed chicken's bone. So there are a lot of lesser known factors, lot of lesser known connectivity are there. So we should find out those things. So like this, our next speaker, he will speak on a very interesting subject. Now I am inviting Professor Dr. Tejokarde Gede Tirtha Nindia. Floor is yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I speak, allow me to use a souvenir from India. I got this souvenir when I visit India, and they gave me as a souvenir, and I hope this is look well from all of you. This is a cap of Arunachal Pradesh people. And when I use this cap, everywhere in India, they call me Arunachal people come to us. But I'm Indonesian, I'm Balinese. And before my speak, this is something important also, that I was studying in India. Usually before speak, people will do some mudra. It's a hand gesture, I think. And I have three favorite hand gesture from India. The first is Puspa Mudra. It's hand holding a flower. This is a Puspa Mudra. And then Anjali Mudra, which is my favorite. So I pray for all of you to be happy and peace. It's Anjali Mudra of India. And the third mudra, which is I'm very like it, is Dharma Chakra Mudra, which is this, and we go this, and hold. Come to the heart. So, Dharma Chakra Mudra is, please practice all the Dharma and practice the Dharma at every breath of yours. So, this is Dharma Chakra Mudra. Thank you. Let me start my speak. I'm actually not historical people, as well as not cultures people. I'm engineer. I'm engineering. But I'm always related what I'm teaching about engineering to social life and cultures, because that is important. At this time, I would like to introduce to you the proud of India, the best of India from ancient time related with ours. It is wood steel. Wood steel. This wood steel is in English, but it is mentioned in Vedic. It is Ucha. So, first slide. Please not move to the second slide. First slide. Okay. At the slide you see my face standing with a black pillar. If you are not an engineering, you will ignore this pillar. This is a very special pillar made by special steel. Called wood steel, and it is Delhi pillar from ancient time, still standing there, no corrosion. So I'm an engineering. What I'm trying to do is make a thing from metal and not corroded. But India, from ancient time, already established the pillar, which is not corroded until today. Can you imagine how India can make it? It's not corroded. And mysteriously, I visited this pillar twice without my intention. I just realized I come to India and suddenly I'm standing nearby. It's like an invitation from the ancient technology. Secondly, this pillar is not corroded. What's other? It was not made from casting technology. It was made by forging. You can imagine, 7 meters long, very heavy, very, very hot. And people forging it one by one, not in a massive slug, we call it, and make it standing. And for the purpose of, we don't understand as an engineer, why only 1 pillar? Why not 10? Is this building just 1 pillar or 10? Still a question. And still in debate between us and metallurgy, how this steel can be passive until today and not corroded. Next slide, please. Please go to the next slide. Okay, I think that is the pictures of me somewhere in India, if you can guess. It is at Rajasthan. It is a wood steel blade from Rajasthan. I visit there, and the right side is our blade, the Keris blade in Bali. So, from this comparative study, you can explain, or we can explain, what is the best of Indian wood steel comparing our Damascus blade in Bali. The Indian is very long. Our blade is only half size blade, if you take a look in the pictures. Yes, this is the best of the wood steel. It is super plastic steel, made in ancient time and can be forged, become very long without broken. The best side of the wood steel. Other thing, yes, the steel is corrosion resistant, comparing than our Indonesian Chris blade, as you can compare. These three Chris blade in Indonesia you can see at our museum, and this is kept there, as well as the wood steel in the pictures in the museum in Rajasthan when I was there. Next slide, please. So, let me think again. Okay. And we have a very, very great Hindu temple in Java Island. It is Prambanan Temple. If you are not, again, an engineering, you will not think how this very big temple and very hard stone to be carved. The answer, yes, it should be using a steel. And where the steel come from? Again, a question. Is that Indonesian made steel? Java made steel? The answer is no. Take a look in the pictures in the Prambanan temple. If you take a look there, there is some figures like Chris, held by the monkeys, held by the some kind of demon, and held by some warrior of the ape, Sugriva maybe. And if you take a look at the top above, have the circle top above, in the Prambanan temple, you will see a wood steel blade of India there, at the top above, just near the monkeys. Yeah, the monkeys hold the keris that we follow until now. Some also warrior there using a keris, but a half cut above the pictures is a wood steel blade of India. So because of this proof, I ensure that the technology of the steel in Indonesia come from India. This is the proof. Then I'm very proud that in ancient temple there is a wood steel of India blade in the temple. Next slide. And also this is the proof from the ancient temple of Indonesia that the blade technology comes from India because it is worshipped the Ganesha during processing of the some steel blade. And you see at the far background of the figure many type of the blade that they produce. And besides they are using god of Ganesha here. There is also figure of Mahabharat here, which is Bhim. In Indonesia we call Bhima. What the strength of this figure here, or carving here, the Bhima, using his hand to hit the blade during processing, and the Bhima using the leg as a die during forging. There is still mysterious explanation to be dig to understand what's the meaning of the story from this temple. Next. Now let's take a look on the archaeometallurgy, which is part of our knowledge. So we also learn about archaeology, but it is in the side of archaeometallurgy. We take a look in the wood steel. So there is a specific pattern. If you take a look in detail of wood steel of India that make it able to be forging much longer. You see, It's only small pattern comparing than Indonesian blade. Okay, next slide. This is Indonesian crease. So the Indian wood steel is made by casting. So this is the unique part of the India that's much better than Japan and Indonesia, because they cast, they melting the sponge iron in crucible, and any ingredient there. It is monolithic steel, but in the technology of crease in Indonesia and also Japan, they are using laminate technology. So they are using laminate type of every type of the metal, make it together and forging to become a Damascus steel. But wood steel is different way. The Indian melting it down in a small crucible, because it is impossible to make it in big crucible. Crucible is a ball which is resistant in high temperature. This is the best side of India, because they, a long time ago, understand about technology of refractory. Refractory means material that can stand in the high temperatures. Then wood steel is made. So this is the Indonesian crease. What is the unique of Indonesian crease comparing the wood steel then? They require one more material, which is from the material from the sky. Maybe in Sanskrit we call it antariksa. So we have a 5 element, is Prathivi, Vayu, Tej, and Akas. We need a material from Akas inside our blade. So we got it from meteorite. Next. So before, this is my pictures with a million years ago meteorite that fall in Europe. So no one can make a pattern like a pattern in meteorite. It is with one certain pattern that human cannot make it. I, a metallurgist, also other metallurgists everywhere in the world, when you take a look in the pattern of the nickel inside the meteorite, no one can make this pattern, which is need a million years to make nickel in the form of this pattern. That is the pattern of the meteorite that add into the Indonesian crease for complete of 4 element inside the crease. And down there is the material others, like iron oxide, that we can find everywhere in the world. Next. So, if you take a look in detail of the crease, you will see a Damascus pattern, okay? And the right side is a modern Damascus. And the next slide. This is the modern microstructures of the steel that we would like to discuss in the future with you. Next. This is, we would like to explain to you that the society that make a steel in India, it's called Wismakarma community, and in Bali we also have a Warga Pandai, which is legally they have a right to make a blade. Next. And we have in religious perspective that in India there is a Sastra Puja and Ayodhya Puja, and we also have here Tumpak Landap in Bali, and also Jamasan in Java. So we pray for the weaponry. Next, because of time. Next slide. So the difference is the crease is used for also sacrifice, suicide. When we lost in the battle, then we use the crease to do a suicide. And India, okay, the last slide. Okay, this is me in India with Royal Enfield. Thank you. Oh, I forget. This is the example of the crease, okay? He told me to bring it. Let's see. You can take a look in detail, but actually, this is the replacement of the linga in Bali. You cannot find linga again in Bali. You will find this man genital and this woman genital together to replace the lingga in Bali. You can take a look later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tirtha Nandiya. So time is almost over, 11:15, but there is a question and answer session. We can go on 2 questions. Anybody interested to ask any speakers any question? Please introduce. Mike, please. Please introduce yourself and your question should be short.
Thank you for stimulating presentation. I'm Professor Inyoman Sedano, affiliated professor at Indonesian Art Institute in Denpasar, nearby here. I'm very much interested to listen from 3 of you about the Lingga Yoni, as you mentioned a while ago. And what I'm interested to know, because 3 of you seems like we have a deep, expansive knowledge about visual concepts, design, about Hinduism. So my question is, please kindly explain when and where is the origins of the Lingga Yoni visual designers concept of Hindu? Starting from you, you mentioned Lingga, right? So can I say this, Lingga Yoni starting from the Rigveda, Agni Mile Pura, or starting from the early stage, because in East Kalimantan Kutai there is a lot of image of Lingga, or where is? So I would like to listen from you, please help. Where that Lingga Yoni, the concept of Lingga Yoni start, and that's only one question. Thank you. I need a response from the 3 of presenters.
No, we can
Thank
only one.
Yeah.
Are you interested to answer?
Okay. Very short? Okay. So I think the Lingga, I'm engineering actually, I'm trying to answer, okay? When you talk about the God and you want to explain the God with the sound, then the God is Om. When you want to explain the God with the symbolic, then the symbolic of the God is Lingam. I think that is the answer, and actually I have a PowerPoint to explain, but time is not available. Thank you.
There is in Andhra Pradesh, there is a linga at a place called Gudimallam. This is, some scholars dated to 2nd century BC AD. You can check, it is there on the internet, where you can see a linga and the person, Shiva, standing. But some people date it to a later period. That is the well-recognized earliest example, but there are a lot of terracotta objects from the early excavations, but some people call them as linga, but again, there are a bit debatable. This example from Gudimallam stone, stone sculpture, it is in Andhra Pradesh. That is considered as one of the earliest, but in the terracotta, other material remains, there could be many more. But in the text, you get from the early period. Thank you.
Any more question? Okay, please. Huh? Okay. Okay, Professor. Please. Please in brief.
Thank you very much for a great presentation. All of you giving us very knowledgeable experience and your presentation. My question is, there is any universal values that India and Indonesia or Bali has shared together as a countries, past, present, and maybe the future? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Bandam. I think we can share Pancasila, universal value, because Pancasila come from the 5 principle in Negara Kertagama that is originally come from the Buddhist doctrine, Buddhist canon, but the concept of Pancasila the same like Panchayama in Hinduism, but interpreted it by Sukarno as Pancasila. One is belief in God, humanity, democracy, and social justice. I think that is the highest value we can share together, and I think that is also the principle of India independence. I think because that is a universal value. I think this is.
Sorry, I can't take your question because time is over. Almost. We are running short of time. In conclusion, as we conclude this enlightened session, I must express my deep gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Dr. I. Gede Sutaria, Dr. Silva Kumar, Professor Dr. Tirtho Nandia for their thought-provoking presentations. Together, they have provided us with a rich tapestry of knowledge about the ancient maritime trade routes of Indian Ocean, from the cultural bonds between Indonesia and India to the integrated networks of trade technology that span vast oceans, and the spiritual and technological significance of the wool, steel, and carriage blades. These presentations have highlighted how deeply interconnected our historical ties. As we move forward in today's world, it is crucial that we continue to foster these connections, whether through research, through dialogue, or cultural exchange, and ensure that this shared heritage is preserved and celebrated for future generations. Thank you all for your attention, and I look forward to further discussion throughout the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our chair and speakers. We will proceed with group photo. For the four of you, we invite you to please rise. All right, photographers are ready. On my count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Once again, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Let's give a big round of applause to our chair and esteemed speakers for this very insightful session. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind you again regarding the interpreter service equipment. Bahasa Indonesia is in channel 1 and English in channel 5. And our organizing committee members are happy to assist you should you have any difficulties with the equipment. Thank you very much. Now we will proceed with the parallel session 1. We will divide participants into 2 sessions, and participants are welcome to choose their preference, whether you want to join the parallel session 1A in this hall or to join parallel session 1B in Wantilan 2 hall, just across this hall on the right side. The parallel session will last until 12:30, and please be informed that we found a mobile phone in the registration desk, so please be mindful of all your personal belongings. If you lose your phone, you can contact us, the committee, at the registration desk outside this hall. Please be informed for parallel session 1B, the theme is From Brushstrokes to Spice Blends, Tracing Cultural Innovation in Art, Craft, and Cuisine. With the chair, Ms. Anita Bose, author, researcher, and artist, and the speakers, Sri Babul Dey, artist and designer, Mr. Yasnit Puskarna, CEO of Haribo, Ms. Sanjukta Chowdhury, senior lecturer in Binus University, and Mr. Agung Rai, founder of Arma Museum. For those of you who are interested in joining parallel session 1B with that topic, from brushstrokes to spice blends, tracing cultural innovation in art, craft, and cuisine, please proceed to the meeting room in Wantilan 2 across this hall. Sekali lagi Bapak Ibu yang tertarik untuk mengikuti parallel session 1B dengan topik yang sudah saya sampaikan dan juga pembicara beserta chair kami undang untuk bisa segera berpindah ke Wantilan 2 yang berada di seberang ruangan ini di sebelah kanan. Jadi Bapak Ibu akan dibagi menjadi 2 ruangan. Ruangan ini untuk parallel session 1A dan di 1B yang berada di Wantilan 2. Jadi Bapak Ibu yang berkenan mengikuti sesi di Wantilan 2 dengan topik tadi, kami persilahkan untuk segera menuju ke ruangan Wantilan 2. Once again, we would like to remind you that parallel session will be organized until 12:30. Thank you very much once again to those of you who would prefer to join the parallel session 1B. We invite you to proceed to Wantilan 2 Hall. Thank you very much. For our distinguished participants who would prefer to join the parallel session 1A, the session will be organized in this main hall with the topic Language and Literature, Comparative Analysis of Linguistic and Literary Traditions. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we will proceed with parallel session 1A with the topic Language and Literature, Comparative Analysis of Linguistic and Literary Traditions. This session offers a platform for scholars and enthusiasts to delve into the linguistic and literary connections that have flourished between India and Indonesia over the centuries, through a comparative lens, and explore into the rich tapestry of literary traditions encompassing epics, poetry, and philosophical texts. May I invite the chair for the session, Director of SVCC Bali, Mr. Naveen Megwal. Mr. Naveen Megwal joined Swami Vivekananda Culture Center, or SVCC Bali, in 2022 to promote Indian culture and spread ancient Indian wisdom. The first speaker, may I invite Professor Dr. Nilo Suciati Brata, MA. Professor Dr. Nilo Suciati Brata, MA is a professor in English semantics at Udayana University, graduated from Monash University in Melbourne for a master's degree and the Australian National University, or ANU, for her PhD degree. Next, may I invite the second speaker, Mr. Sugi Lanus, the curator of the Lontar Museum, Karangasem, Bali. Mr. Sugi Lanus is a philologist specializing in ancient Balinese and Javanese manuscript and an alumnus of Udayana University. During his studies, he worked part-time as a meditation instructor and actively engaged in research with various scholars. May I invite our next speaker, Dr. Gautam Kumarja, Assistant Professor, Center for Chinese and Southeast Asian Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University. Dr. Gautam Kumarja is an accomplished scholar with an MPhil and PhD in International Relations from JNU, New Delhi. He currently serves as an Assistant Professor of Bahasa Indonesia at the Center for Chinese and Southeast Asian Studies, School of Languages, Literature, and Culture Studies, JNU. May I invite our next speaker, Ms. Eka Chaturvedi Banerjee, founder ACAM Resonance. Ms. Eka Banerjee is the founder of ACAM Resonance, a purpose-driven organization where, along with her community of researchers, she delves into ancient wisdom to solve for contemporary issues. I hand it over to the chair to lead the session. We have our time until 12:30 for the session. Please, the floor is yours.
Om Swastiastu. Namaste. Welcome you all for this second session. And this session is going to be very interesting because India and Indonesia shares a lot of culture, but through the language, actually, through the language and literature. In India, our culture continues to grow by the stories, by epics and all this. This is how we have grown up, you know, by listening to different stories from Mahabharata, Ramayana, their character and all this. And same thing, when you come to Indonesia, Bali, you see a lot of people, they are learning actually through the stories, through the literature, through the epics. And here if you ask many people, they will say they do respect Rama, they do see him as a god, but more than that, they learn through his character. That is something very beautiful, that how both culture basically learn through literature, learn through the stories and all these scriptures. So we share Ramayana, we share Mahabharata. We have one speaker with us who will be, you know, demonstrating or showing you the manuscript. And through manuscript, they have preserved the culture. So we have 4 speakers with us. The first one will be Professor Dr. Neelu Sutajali. Okay. Yes, okay. So she will be talking about a comprehensive analysis of linguistic and literary tradition. Then we have the second one is Sugi Lanus, and he will be talking about the topic is Rishi Agastya Mantra in Bali, actually. Then Jha will be speaking at the end, or your third will be? You will be third? You'll be third. Okay. So the third will be Eka Banerjee, and she will be talking about languages and stories, rituals, and symbols. And at the end, our Professor Jha, he will be speaking about Indic tradition, agility, and impact on Indonesia. So without any further ado, because we are running short of time, I will invite our first speaker, Neelu ji, Professor Dr. Neelu, on the stage. And I remind all of you, we have only 10 minutes for each speaker. Please finish on time. Okay, we have pointer here also. Thank you so much. So please welcome Dr. Neelu. Thank you.
Om Swastiastu. Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. In this special occasion, I would like to share with you about the research that have been completed entitled A Comparative Analysis of Linguistic and Literary Traditions. As I have already put in my slide on background, so the research which is conducted by Ardika actually is my husband, yes, and Peter Bellwood, indicate that contact between Bali and India has already existed at least at the beginning of the century. The study of all Balinese inscriptions, that's what says my data when I completed my PhD study at ANU, indicates that the relationship between Bali and India has been existed, and then some part of the evidence shows, particularly Sanskrit words are mostly used in Old Balinese language. So I said here, borrowing of lexical item from Sanskrit to Old Javanese has already existed from the Old Balinese inscription. It is understood that Sanskrit would occur in the inscription dated 882, that is equal to 10th century AD. And the appearance of the Sanskrit would indicate the contact between India and Bali has existed in the 9th century, maybe probably earlier than that. So the problem that we'd like to discuss in this special occasion is about how Sanskrit and Javanese influence Balinese speed levels, because Balinese people also has got stratifications, which says we have 4 caste system, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, and how they are in lexic actions might be similar to the one that we have in here. And the second one, it's about how do they relate to sociolinguistic factors, such as speech level. Evidence of speed level in Balinese actually indicate, because from Balinese inscription, there was not a speed level, but during the influence maybe by Majapahit, speed level appeared, let's say in the Majapahit period. Based on my close reading on all Balinese inscriptions, seem to confirm the latter that there's not speed level in all Balinese inscription. The occurrence of speed level in Balinese developed gradually because the influence, as I mentioned before, the influence of the Javanese. Among the language in Indonesia, we have 4 islands who has got speed level, such as Javanese, Sundanese, Balinese, and Madurese. So I want to show it to you that an analysis from Goris, because Goris has got the list of lexicons on all Balinese language, because after, let's say, 11th century, there is no evidence to show that the all Balinese has got speed level, because we didn't have the speaker or even written data. Okay? From the word list, there was 3,067, shows that 20% of the item has no modern Balinese equivalents. So from that, maybe most of them are Sanskrit words. Of the remaining item, about 60% are neutral in speed level, because most of the words use either in high level or low level, that is considered to be neutral, and to the speed level, and 10% are high, and also 10% is used in low level. The word used in modern Balinese show that about 87% are from all Balinese, 11% from all Javanese, 2% from Sanskrit. So the word we divide further into whether they belong to high level word or mostly used in high level or low level one. So these are examples. Maybe I can show you one, only one, as the time is limited. For example, like in all Balinese inscription occur the word like angan. In modern Balinese, in high level, still angan, while in modern Balinese low level, it means kena. So it's different. Okay. So from here, we can understand that the inscriptions coded as 1001 Sukawana A1 dated 882 ED, there are about 25% Sanskrit word and 71% all Balinese words. So the relationship between the evidence that we have from all Balinese to Sanskrit words that occur in India. Like also, the last all Balinese inscription reviewed here, that is Trunyan C, dated 1049, only 8% are Sanskrit word, and 83 all Balinese language, 9% all Javanese language. These are examples from Sanskrit, and then I will keep borrowing from all Balinese. As I mentioned, before we run out of time, so I just want to show you that in Balinese speed level, it is indicated by the lexical choices, whether it is used in high level to address high caste people such as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, well, the ordinary people, we call it Shudra. But I prefer in my dissertation, I just distinguish between Triwangsa and Shudra. So Tri means three. So Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya belong to, let's say, Brahmana people and non-Brahmana people. So as I mentioned before, that only determined by lexical choices. But we also find out linguistic figures that deal with prefix. Prefix ka mostly used for high level when we want to address Triwangsa, while suffix a is used when we want to address a Sudra people. So you are given the example in all Balinese, tani burung mati kahanyang, you see ka, okay? So in Bahasa Indonesia, so we have, in Balinese, modern Balinese, ka panggo, ka is used for addressing high level people. The next example is suffix yan in Old Balinese become a, which is mostly used for address non-Triwangsa people. As I mentioned here, the Old Balinese suffix yan still survive as suffix a. In the modern Balinese, both suffixes yan and a are used in passive construction. If we want to make a sentence meaning passive one, okay? You are given example here. In Old Balinese, we have tani kasidan duduk yan, okay? In modern Balinese, for low level, we will say duduk ka. We never say kaduduk, duduk ka dipungut, okay? So it's correct. So from that, we know that sociolinguistic variation in modern Balinese, there are two dimensions of sociolinguistic variation, and speed level and level of formality, because the choice of speed level is determined by level of formality. As we know, they also have the paradigm, who speak to whom, what is the topic, and when. In these occasions, if Triwangsa people to speak to Sudra people, formal situation, of course, Triwangsa can use low one, while Sudra will address the Triwangsa people using high level, speed level. Conclusion. The Old Balinese was influenced by other languages, such as I mentioned, as the theme of the conference, Sanskrit and Old Japanese. So borrowing of lexical item cannot be avoided. The relation to speed level, Sanskrit words are used for Bahasa Bali Halus, for high level one, as my example showed before. And all Japanese words occur either in high or low level one. So the second conclusion, all Balinese appear not to have speed level, although this is still a problematic, because we can't do further investigation as the data is very limited, okay? Because all Balinese inscriptions, as I mentioned, dated the last one to almost 10th century AD. The occurrence of modern Balinese speed level might have been influenced by Javanese. That may suggest that some form of speed level might have existed since 9th century, or maybe prior of this period, but still, we need to have further investigation, because I was interrupted by that. So it is interesting to know that two affixes, prefix ka and suffix a, are very sensitive to speed level. Thank you very much, because the time is up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move towards our next speaker, Sugi Lanus. He will talk about Rishi Agastya's mantra in Bali. So please welcome him.
Om Swastiastu, Om Namastu, Namaskar, Namaste. Thank you very much for the chairman for the introduction. I would like to directly explain giving explanation to my slide. In the leaflet, it is written a mantra, but actually it's something different between mantras and stawa. Agastya, let me start from the second slide, please. Agastya, Maharishi Agastya, we call it in Bali Maharishi Agastya, is one of the Saptarshi writers of Vedas. So from a Kawi culture or old Javanese tradition, we know that Agastya is one of the Saptarshi. So during that time, let's say during Prambanan era, during Borobudur era, we have some manuscript called Brahmanda Purana, telling that the writer of Veda is Saptarshis. And one of them is Agastya. His name is mentioned in the Vedas and a figure and also in Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishad, etc. And one of the most interesting thing about Agastya is one of the famous Saptarshi, the most famous Saptarshi in Indonesia. One of the most Saptarshi. Traditionally, we're supposed to chant the mantra before we start the discussion. So several sources in India stated that Maharishi Agastya moved to and settled in Java. That's interesting, big question mark for me or for all Indonesia, where he lived in Java. But let me start from how's the difference between Stawa, Mantra, and Dharani, because we share pre-modern India and pre-modern Bali, all Javanese, share the Stawa, Stuti, and Dharani mantra. But still, since the time is very limited, Stawa is a hymn and praise directed to the deities. Stawa is typically composed in poetic poems and are recited for worship and expressing devotion to gods and goddess. Yeah, and the mantra is sacred utterance, word, sound, group, different. But Stawa is directly toward deities. So I'm going to talk about what I just found in ancient manuscript in Bali, Agastya and Lopamudra Stawa specifically. It is not researched. It is not opened yet by other scholars. Then. Since the time really short, actually it is. Next slide, please. Let me start with the Changal, how we connected with Agastya, Indonesian archipelago in Java. It is written in Changal inscription in Magelang, now in central Java. The inscription describes the erection of Lingga, the symbol of Siwa, in the country of Kunjara Kunja by Sanjaya's order. So Sanjaya, one scholar believed that he come from Agastya Gotra. The big question mark. The Lingga is seated on the noble island of Java, which the inscription described as rich in grain and gold mines. Grains, paddy, and other grains and other rice. Yeah. The inscription refers the Kunjara Desa, perhaps meaning the hermitage land of Kunjara, which has been identified as the hermitage of Rishi Agastya, a Hindu Rishi, referred in southern India. We have a big question mark why this dynasty Sanjaya really glorify Agastya. We sometimes do believe that he is one of he come from Agastya Gotra. So the second slide, please. The next slide. Okay, the Dinoyo inscription, it is, you can read in Malang, in East Java. Dinoyo inscription dated back to 760. It is signifying artifacts of ancient Indonesia history discovered in the Dinoyo near Malang, written in Old Javanese and Sanskrit. Its content provide value insight into a historical and cultural context of that times. It is primarily records the inauguration of a temple dedicated to the Agastya, Maharishi Agastya. So in the inscription also details various grants, including lands, offerings by local rulers to supporter of the temple and its ritual. Both inscriptions glorify Agastya as the supreme holy teachers. Countless statues in Java and in Bali and Sumatra also. We have in Jakarta now in National Museum. If you go to National Museum, at least you will find more than 100 statues. 15% of them are Agastya holy statues. Please, next slide. Yeah. Next slide, please. This is the most famous of Agastya, which is famous in beauty, comes from Banon Temple, yeah, in Central Java. Actually, this is very close, only 2 kilometers from Prambanan, but it's gone now. The statue is now in the museum, National Museum in Jakarta, one of the most beautiful statue. Next slide, please. And this one is from Prambanan. Yeah, the smallest one. Actually, the Singosari one is the biggest than Prambanan. This is from Singasari. The right side, the left side of me is from Singasari, is Java, and this is from Prambanan. So all over Java celebrated Resi Agastya. Next slide, please. Yeah. So let's talk about Bali. Agastya statue in Bali are kept in special sacred statue storage. We call it Gedong Penyimpenan, keeping storage. Or in Old Javanese we call it Gaduh, Pagaduhan, storage. Yeah. They even only be seen during the special ceremonies by certain sprays. Next slide, please. And this is, we can see in Gianyar, yeah, 2 temples in Gianyar. Next slide, please. In Java, in Bali, a palm leaf manuscript in Kawi language entitled Agastya Parwa was found containing important teachings that are thought to have originated from the Hindu Mataram period. It is about the Agastya legend. It narrates the journey and adventure of Agastya, detailing how he brought the knowledge, religious teaching, civilizing the Java and surrounding regions, and also the manual books how to choose a right guru. And the ethical paran-paran and guru sisya included in the manuscript. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is what we have in Bali. Next slide, please. Balinese are also inherent the Saptarshi Stawa. So let's, yeah, next slide, please. So we have 2 Saptarshi Stawa. The different thing between Saptarshi concept, a group of 7 referred sages, we included Agastya inside it. So if you read normally or formally, when you Google or try to find Saptarasi, Atri, Brigu, Kusha, Vasista, Gautama, Kasya, Angiras. But we included Agastya. So Om Agastyas Cha, Vasistas Cha, Viswamitras Cha, Gautama, Bregus Cha, Naradas Saiwa, Jamanis Cha, Saptama. So the 7 is Jamad Agnis. This is what we have in Bali. Yeah. So next slide, please. Okay, please, yeah. This is the form of Stawa in Bali. Yes, Tuti and Stawa inside our manuscript. Next slide, please. I would like to share the content of the long Stawa, and I would like to publish openly maybe next year. I will share it through academic journal. This is what we have in Bali. I will close with the translation, my rough translation. Om salutation to Agastya. You are reside in Java, always endowed with supreme strength. O Eternal One, river sage, fulfill my task. Om Agastya, with Lapamudra, who are reside in Java, always endowed with supreme strength. O Eternal One, revered sage, fulfill my task. Om solution to Agastya, Om solution to Lapamudra, Om solution to Trina Windu, Om Agastya, the great sage, venerable and illustrious, the son of Mitra and Varuna, born from a pot solution to you. Om Lapamudra, beloved goddess, joyful sin at the river bank, possessing great strength and perfection, we always offer worship to you. Om Trina Windu, eternal companion, Om discipline of Dina Ketan, endowed with infinite qualities, we bow down to you, Lord of Dance. This is Agastya's Stawa. I think this is what I can share here since time is up. I think we can share for the next session, maybe question and answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sugilanusji. Now we will invite Eka Banerjee for her topic of linguistic and stories, rituals and symbols. Floor is yours. Please come. Please welcome her with a round of applause.
Namaste and Om Swasti Asti. I am actually feeling that familiar tug that the CG spoke of yesterday when he said that when we as Indians arrive in Indonesia, there is a sense of the familiar and there is a sense that tugs at our own roots. So when I look around me, I see people who are wearing perhaps different clothes, but are the same people within. I hear stories and I hear language and I hear conversations and words that come from a different space, but share the same roots that we have grown up with. And with this, I'd like to talk to us about the commonalities between the shared India and Indonesian roots in the context of our languages and literature. Now, while and in the previous session, there was a conversation even about the linga and the yoni and how they come together in our weaponry. Similarly, we find that the expressions of culture and culture heritage are found in 4 spaces. We will talk about all these 4 spaces. There's languages and literature, how we speak, how we write, what we say. It's found in our stories, stories we hear and stories we tell. It is found in the symbols we worship, we acknowledge, and we find familiar with. And it is found in our rituals that we celebrate and we practice. Now, while that is the theoretical understanding of how a culture manifests, there is the 2 pillars that the Sanatan, the Hindu philosophy is based on, and that is the karma and dharma. We will see how they play out in culture heritage. So for most of us, we've grown up to believe, and Western philosophy and science would have us believe that we are all located in space and time. So 3 dimensions of space, and if you revolve, maybe 1 dimension of time. But the philosophy that we represent, the philosophy that we come from, the culture that we collectively represent, actually places us in dimensions where space and time are just 2 of many. And therefore it is that we find our placement, our identity, our existence located in dharma and in karma. Now, dharma is defined at 3 levels. Dharma literally translated, dharma is not religion. Dharma literally translated means dhar, what I hold, what holding, and ma, me, what I uphold, my way of life. That literally is dharma. Now, dharma expresses itself in 3 spheres. In fact, you're all familiar. I've seen these beautiful Ratha scenes and sculptures where Bhagwan Shri Krishna talks to Arjun and gives him the whole lesson of the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, dharma is defined at 3 levels. The first is swadharma, your relationship with your own self. The second is aparadharma. In aparadharma is your relationship by virtue of the space and time you're born to, your context. So your kshetra, jati, kala, samay, by virtue of this present life that you enjoy. This is our relationship with those around us, our family, our peer groups, our workplaces, our organizations. So mine, everything that I see is mine. And then at the 3rd level and the highest level, dharma is expressed at paradharma, our relationship with the universe, our duty towards preserving the laws of the universe, the rita. What we see as these expressions of dharma and our spheres of existence then become our responsibility across our karma. And our karma, or what we do, expresses itself in 3 bodies. What we do, our physical body, what we feel, our emotional body, and what we think, our intellectual body, BMI. Why I bring this up is because when we see how we express our cultures, we see that our roots get expressed, like I said, in our languages and literature, which engage with all the 3 aspects of karma and find expressions across all 3 aspects of dharma. We find our roots and our culture and our civilizational memory, our blood DNA, expressed itself in the stories. Actually, why don't we talk about languages and literature? So the professors who spoke before me beautifully brought out the common linkages that our languages have. And I'm very tempted to share a small story. So my mother actually used to teach in Indonesia almost 30 years ago. And when she arrived in Indonesia for the first time, and she was teaching Hindi in Indonesia at the Rama International School. And when she first arrived at the school, she found outside the school where the residence was, she found a placard which says, Guru Avas. Guru Avas, and my mother was very surprised being the first time in Indonesia. She thought that they were doing this to respect her and the fact that she was coming to teach Hindi here. Till she found out that Guru Avas is the term for residence of the Guru. And therefore, as we explored further, we found that there were a lot of words and a lot of concepts that are common. So some of them carry the same meaning. Words like moksha, mahala, moksh, maya, brahma, these carry the same meanings that they carry in Sanskrit as they carry for us in Indonesia, in Bahasa. In fact, Bahasa itself is derived from the word bhasha, which is language in Hindi, which comes from the Sanskrit word bhashya, what we speak. So similarly, and then there are some words that have the same pronunciation and largely the same meaning, but a slightly different derivation, like mahal. So mahal in Hindi is a large palace, an expensive piece of real estate. In Bahasa, mahala therefore becomes the equivalent of expensive, of something that is of great value. And similarly, we can continue to explore linguistic roots and traditions. The next expression that we find of our cultural heritage is in our stories. Why that is so familiar is because we really as human beings are the stories we hear and the stories we tell. Professor spoke about the Mahabharata and the Ramayana and the epics. They are the same epics, they are the same story spine. So we have the same roots, the same spine, but we've picked up different characters to celebrate. So while in India from the Ramayana, of course, Ram and Sintar are our main characters and our deities, we find that in Indonesia there are characters of Hanuman, of Nakul, of Sugriva, of Bali that have been celebrated more. So same spine, same stories, but we pick different heroes that we want to worship or the ones that we want to emulate. In the Mahabharata, now while of course the baseline and the base story remains the same, the celebration in Indonesia of Nakula, of Sahadev is so much larger than there is, let's say, of Bhishma Pitama or of Lord Krishna. So the familiarity of our stories, and you know, it's in very many ways in the world of the tech-savvy world we live in, it's a lot like blockchain, right? Where there's no central spine, and we find that our cultures are so ancient and so old that they've become coded within us right now. They have become very subconscious expressions. Similarly, when we practice our rituals, and rituals appeal to the body, to the action, to the sharira. When we practice our rituals, we fasten and we reiterate the blood memory and neural pathways. And we share very similar spines, be it wedding rituals, be it death rituals. We find that it is the same principles that get manifested differently. When you do the Shraddha in Indonesia for a departed soul, you also include some modern foods in it, which is actually contemporizing an ancient tradition. Whereas when we do it in India, we do it on an annual basis and probably a little more ritualized. But these daily practices, yesterday when we went to Munduk for the Thakurji inauguration of the plaque, we actually saw a wedding ceremony which was so similar to what we have way back in India. So
Sorry
same roots, same principles.
Yeah, we are about to finish.
I will finish in 3 minutes.
Okay,
You'll give me 3 minutes?
Okay.
Thank you. So that's the expression that we find in rituals, which becomes our expression in the body. And then we have symbols. The fact that the national symbol of Indonesia is the Garuda. The Garuda is a Rig Vedic entity. And the Garuda has existed since time immemorial across all our Puranic texts as well as all our scriptures. The Garuda is the national symbol of Indonesia. Similarly, when you have the Om, which is my favorite symbol personally, the ideation, the articulation of Om is as the ultimate symbol of the Nadaswara, the sound of the origin. So here's how we find that each of these expresses itself in our personal relationships, in how we personally think, believe, and act. It expresses in our social relationships, the way we engage with our families, at rituals, at weddings, in our social context. We are a collective society. We are a family-based society. And it expresses itself in the way we engage with the world at large, in the context of the nature, in the context of people, and in the context of divine. In fact, Naveenji had spoken yesterday of the Trihita Karana. And that's the familiarity that we live with. Frankly, with this conference, and I understand my time's up, so I'm available for further conversations outside. But with this conference, my sincerest hope is that we can, as you know, we are pretty much the same age as nations. So we're between 70 and 75 years of age as nations, but we are ancient civilizations with the same roots but different expressions. And I think this is time that we are stepping together, revisiting, echoing what's been happening across the waves for over 20,000 years to rise together. And that would be my request, if we can buddy up, pair up, and make this journey together as the great Indian civilization and as the great Indonesian civilization, and rise together in resonance. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you so much, Hekaji, for this wonderful presentation. Now we'll invite our last speaker, Dr. Gautam Kumar Jha, and he will be speaking in Bhasha and English together, actually. He's profound in Bhasha, actually. So please welcome him with a round of applause.
Yeah, thank you, Honored Mr. Naveenji. Her Excellency, Madam Taruna ji is here, Madam Hira is here, and Mr. Indra, Pak Indra is here, and all the dignitaries, Professor Sasiwala, and all the dignitaries are here. Sorry, did you hear what I said? Okay. Honorable Chair, Mr. Naveenji, Her Excellency, Madam Taruna ji, Pa Indra, Swami ji is here, and Ibu Hira is there, Professor Sasiwala. So I'm really obliged and grateful that all the dignitaries are here, and it is such an august gathering. You know, that is, the vibrations is really echoing across. You know, the first speaker, Suchi from Udayana, Professor Suchi from Udayana, she gave a very excellent analysis on linguistical similarities between India and Indonesia. Madam said around 20% words are similar, but I would say since saya tahu bahasa Sanskrita, bahasa Hindi, dan saya bisa mengenalkan bahasa kata-kata bahasa Indonesia, saya pikir ada sekitar 30% kata Sanskrita masuk dalam bahasa Indonesia. 30% dia kurang-kurang. Itu luar biasa. Yang terima kasih. So, and yang kedua, Pak bicara beliau Pak lupa nama Bapak Sugi, Pak Sugi Agastiar, ya, Agastiar, luar biasa. Wherever you go to Indonesian mythology, Indonesian classical text, you find Agastya Muni is there. And the reflection of Agastya is in Wayang, you know. What do you call that? Wayang, who is characteristic of Wayang? Siapa itu? Yang gede, orang yang gede, yang what do you call that? That leader of the comedians. Apa namanya itu? Semar itu juga merefleksikan what do you call that? Agastya or Narada. So the mythology, Indonesian mythology, is so much complex and so much intertwined. So I think it gives a great platform for both Indonesian and Indian scholars to work upon. Can we go to the first slide, please? Yes, as I said, that if you see the ancient trade route, as already explained by Professor Silva in his first speech, and it was excellent, and he found a lot of prasastis and tangible, intangible evidences, inscription that shows at one point of time we were actively, engaged with each other. Just 2 months before, I was speaking in a Hindu gathering before, and they were planning to, particularly Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, they are planning to make an outreach to Indonesia. And what they were saying is that for the last, let us say 70, 80 years, we have done nothing. What our forefathers, were engaged in, so that was really great. So we can see the how starting from the, let us say, Gandhara period, from Gandhara side, our navigation started from, across from western towards eastern, and the civilizational aspects, language, literature, culture, all, migrated slowly from the western towards east, and it got enriched on the geographical lines. Can we go to the next slide, please? So I am going to talk about the connectivity, and as our previous scholar, Ikai is very common name between India and Indonesia. She has explained about symbolism, connectivity, etc. So I'll just go along the line, a little bit defining in an expansive way, culture, how culture goes, how culture permeates it through the religion. And religion, as she has already explained, is Hindu. Hinduism is not a religion. The majority of the scholars, they find Hindu is a religion. It's not exactly Hinduism. It's not even close to Abrahamic religion. It's completely different. Thousands of streams, they flow together in tandem, but it has its own flow, own flow and own rhythm. So strong and rich culture can play a very important role in establishing harmony in the world in order to achieve sustainable development goal. So this is what the entire session today will converge upon. Can we go to the next slide, please? So connectivity, so dharma, what she has explained, dharma, Sanatana, and Buddhism. So dharma was already existing there. Many anthropological scholars, they speak about what they identify Indonesianism or Javanism as an animism. I would say it is not at all animism. They just deviated from the main point. It is basically dharma, what we worship, as I say, the mainland and extended East and Southeast Asia is very common flow and common traditions. So the best part of Indonesia and Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia, is they gave birth of Saivite Buddhism in a very profound way. And if you see the Shivalinga, which as many scholars, today they talked about, the height of Shivalinga you see in Bali and Java is completely different, completely mesmerizing. Now Shiva and Shivalinga has also made a very profound journey starting from, let us say, Myanmar and Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and then you have mainland Southeast Asia, Thailand, Malaysia, and finally Indonesia. It seems Indonesia, they have segregated. They have mountains. So Saivite Buddhism is another new philosophical angle that Indian scholars, both scholars, can indulge it to work upon, and that gave myriads of streams. For example, the practices of various dukun in Indonesia, kejawen, what do you call that? Agama Jawa, luar biasa ini, Pak. So, can we go to the next slide, please? Kita lihat secara geografis, ada 3 sungai, Irrawaddy, Salween, dan Mekong. Mulai dari Mastaka Himalaya. Mastaka, we say Himalaya is our head. Himalaya is 100% in the Indian construct of Bharata that gives birth of 3 main streams that flow towards Southeast Asia. And that is the reason that there is continuous flow of Indic culture towards Southeast Asia, and that's why, my brothers and sisters, I have given this entire region's name as Indic Belt. Indic Belt, and we are under the Indic Belt Society. So these are 3 main rivers which nurtures the half of the Southeast Asia. Can we go to the next slide, please? So if we see, as we said, the knowledge traditions of India, we have contemporary civilization called Zoroastrianism. That is, Zoroastrianism was in Faras, the West Asia, and Faras, which is Persian, and the Rig Veda period is given the date as 8,000 years BC. 8,000 years BC, and then we have Lothal, which is in Western India called Gujarat. Lothal is a shipyard. It was active in 3,005 years before. Friends, 3,500 sebelum Masehi sudah aktif kan, dan dari sana kita sudah punya trade, perdagangan di antara India dan Asia Tenggara, dan khususnya Indonesia. Can you go back next slide, please? So Saurashtra, and this Bapak bisa lihat itu Kutch, tempatnya sudah, and that was the best place, for making shipyard and giving servicing of shipyards. You can see, because all the ships used to gather there, and it was unhindered by the a wave of the sea. Can we go to next slide, please? Next slide, please. So similarly, now you come about Sanatana, Hinduism, how it prevailed and why it was got agility in Southeast Asia across this subcontinent. One thing is very important, it's called social security. Yeah, social security, securitas masyarakati. How we define what is called social security and why it got attracted to us. So each and every kingdom adopted Sanatana because it was based upon dharma, and dharma is nothing but a duty, and that is described in our inscriptions, sacred inscriptions. That is very important. And that dharma was prevailed across the temples in, what do you call that, Angkor Wat Vishnu temple, the temples of Prambanan, temples of Borobudur, and other thousands and hundreds of temples.
Sorry
so
to
this,
interrupt, Mr. Jha. We are almost finished, so
okay.
please.
3 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So if we come directly to Indonesia, 70% of 70% buku sejarah SMA menyebutkan pada pengaruh India pada Indonesia. 70% of the history book of Indonesia, of senior high school, they talk about the influence of India on Indonesia. So you can see the Mulai Dari from the 4th century, Kutai. Still, I'll say Srivijaya, Kediri, Singasari, Majapahit, and Buleleng, and Tulalang, Bawang, and Kota Kapur. So all these kingdoms, not 1, 2, 3 kingdoms, all these kingdoms gives myriads of folklores. The another side of the research of scholarship, one can find out how we mingled each other. Can we go to the next slide, please? So how Indic mythology, Indic classical texts, or Indic knowledge traditions, how it reflected. First is Wayang. Next slide, please. And it went into handicraft, you can still find, and handicraft is amazing. Then we go to folklore, still. Itu semuanya refleksi dalam acara-acara yang sudah banyak, seperti pernikahan, yang lain-lain, and then culture. And finally we come to the woodcraft. I've just heard Indonesia export woodcrafts of $50 million every year, and banyakkan diciptakan pada Ramayana and Mahabharata. The entire Ramayana is inscribed in the wooden craft, was just one wooden craft, and it is sold around starting from 2,000 to 5,000 US dollar. So that is one of the most important, that agility, and at the same time we are selling. Just quickly, next slide, please. So these are the slides. Can we go to the next? Yes, as we have already said, if we said 6th century, 8th century, but it is below, before Buddha comes all the terracotta things we exported from India to Indonesia. Can we go to the next slide, please? So there are myriads of scholars. Only thing is that only I repent at the end that we have not done much work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jha. So with this, all the presentations are over. And now the question answer session, and the first we have got is from our YouTube live actually. So we'll pick up that question. From YouTube we got a question from Lavira, and any of the speaker can reply it. Thank you, speaker. I want to ask something. How do the speakers think and see the role of cultural tradition in maintaining national identity amidst globalization in both Indonesia and India? So anyone want to answer this one?
Thank you for that question. And what defines, and as we spoke about it, what defines or distinguishes or creates the concept of national identity? The national identity lies basically in our languages and literature, the symbols, the rituals, and the stories that we practice. If that is what defines national and cultural and national identity, so Indonesia and India, for instance, are both countries that are very heterogeneous. They are very amalgamated civilizations. And therefore, in our languages and literature also, we find influences of everybody that has been through India or Indonesia. The Indian language is also made from Urdu words, from Hindi words, from Sanskrit words, from English words, from French words, from words that come from Persian. And the same is true for Bahasa. Bahasa Indonesia, BI, also consists of words from Sanskrit, from Hindi, from Persian, from Dutch, from Mandarin, from Malay. So this is now our cultural identity, that we are a heterogeneous civilization, but we have very strong roots. Our roots get reflected, like Professor Jha spoke of, in our crafts, in our stories, in our rituals, in our festivals, in our symbols, and the values that they stand for. In the earlier session, we spoke about the Panchashila. We spoke about the national logo, which for India is Satyameva Jayate, truth alone triumphs, and the value that Indonesia carries about Tunggala, Bhinneka Tunggala Ika, the whole idea of unity in diversity. Those are our cultural codex. They are represented in our food. And there are 9 cultural codex, 4 of which are these. The others include food, technology, art and craft. That then becomes our cultural heritage and identity, if that helps.
But I just add to her points that the culture, what we talk about, India and Indonesia. Indonesia has got distinct identity and distinct culture. And sometimes when we talk about Bharata or influence, I think it's a common Bharat that time. It's not a geographical Bharat what we enjoy today. It was common Bharat. It was very extended Bharat, very wide Bharat. So in that wide Bharat, nobody can say that this is mine and this is yours. So like I cannot say the Ramayana is exclusively only for India, or it was, so and that is why, as he said, that what we perceive across, what is the object, what is something which runs our conscience across, our social security is still very important, something based upon karma, something which you do is bad, something which you do is good. Accordingly, you are given the reward, So, and also the concept of Manjalma. Concept of Manjalma is very much prevalent in Java and Bali and other parts of Indonesia. This is also very important. So all these things reflect into identity. Now, identity, again, is a very relative term. What identity you are talking about? You are talking about cultural identity. You are talking about religious identity. You are talking about social identity. So it all depends what identity you are looking for. If I say Indonesia, the global context, the people from India and other things, they say Indonesia is a country of Ramayana and Mahabharata. This is what we understand. President Jokowi goes to America and he gives Saraswati to Obama. So this is the cultural identity of Indonesia. Thank you.
Okay, so any question from the audience? Okay, so many. Okay, please, madam. Yeah. Anyone give the mic to her? No, this madam, Yeah. She wanted to ask in the first session also. Yeah, madam here. Yeah.
Just a small question, that is Agastya Parva translated into English, edited and published?
Okay, please. Briefly, okay.
I think not yet, yeah. Maybe Professor Suamba, in front of you, you can ask him. He's expert on all Javanese. I think I don't have any information. Yeah.
Agastya Parva, is it translated, edited and published?
It is edited and translated in Dutch.
Dutch, not in English. No?
Not in English yet.
Yes.
So I read the Agastya Parva in Dutch.
I think this should be done. Very important work.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Thank you. Next question. Okay, Swamba. Okay, Professor Swamba.
Okay, thank you for the times. First, I would like to thank all of presenters who throwing lights and give us a lot of knowledge on linguistic aspects. One is general question for all of you. What is the role of linguistics influence over this articulate, especially on Sanskrit? Second one is to Pa Sugilanos. It is very interesting you touch on the Agastya. This is a very legendary figure in Indian cultures, especially in South India, and he's traveled to this archipelago, Southeast Asia. When we talk about Bali, we never discuss about this. When we talk about those sages from Java who traveled to Bali, starting from Markandeya and Nirartha, but we don't have but evidence on Agastya in Bali. I think there are, like in, we call it Agastiracy in what is called Sumpah Chor.
Okay.
Sumpah
Can we come to the question part and in brief? Okay.
Yeah. I would like to ask you, how do you see this Agastya in Bali? The third one to Professor Suci. In Balinese literature, we had what is called Kawi Bali, Bahasa Kawi Bali. And how do you see this, the influence of Sanskrit or Javanese on this Kawi Bali?
Okay, thank you. So, who want to ask the first one?
I think linguistics.
Thank you very much for the questions. Since you gave me 2 questions, I would like to, first of all, to answer question number 1. The role of linguistics to influence the language, particularly Sanskrit. As far as I know, because the area of linguistics is very broad, but I will focus on morphological processes. For example, like the length of the sounds, which is 2 vowels go together, and then in order that they will be pronounced properly in Sanskrit, where they can have a kind of assimilation, umlaut, etc. And beside that also, we have a lot of vocabulary that learn from Sanskrit word. Like I often tell to my students who learn Bahasa Indonesia, for example, Mahasiswa. Maha means big, Siswa means student. So big student, university student. So when we talk about this, it's really broad area in terms of morphological processes, lexicons in terms of semantic also, because sometimes in lengthening of the meaning of the word, broadening of meaning of the word, or shortening of the word. For me, since I start learning about all Balinese scription when I did my PhD student, most of the interviewees said that when we talk about Kawi Bali, refer to all Javanese language, not Sanskrit words. Okay, thank you. I hope my explanations will answer your questions.
If you go outside and then turn right, you will see Swara Wianjana manuscripts outside. Yeah, and other manuscripts Kertabasa. That exhibition is my that Lontar's public manuscripts are my collections. Actually, my small tribute to Professor Raghuir and Lokesh Chandra, and also my professor Chokorde Rai Siddhartha. So he was the one who wrote a PhD dissertation on Kertabasa. My professor Chokorde Rai Siddhartha. And also, if you want to know deeply into how the influence of Sanskrit and also influence of words, Indian words loaned from India, you can read Swara Wianjana and also the Dasanama. Dasanama is Dasa is stands, Nama is names. So it's like thesaurus of Sanskrit and Old Javanese. All Balinese Brahmins family and priesthood lineage have Dasanama to understand the Sanskrit mantra. So it is, we do have Swara Wianjana and also Kertabasa and other Sanskrit manual books how to learn Sanskrit. So the declination and everything inside so many manuscripts like this. Yeah, this is Dasanama for flora and faunas, and Dasanama for art and literatures. We have very specific dasanamas. It's actually it is thesaurus on flora and fauna. And I would like to add for the first question from online, YouTube, yeah. Even our identity now, Hindu in Bali, is political construction. It is a neo-Hinduism. It's not directly to the ancient manuscript like this, but it's mixed between some scholar during after independence who went to India, and like my professor Cokorderai Siddhartha, Pak Puja, Professor Puja, and other Professor Mantro, they construct the new Hinduism in Bali. It's neo-Hinduism basically. So our relation to pre-modern India, I would like to say, not India, pre-modern India, or Bharat Varsha, it's interrupted after 16th centuries. So during 16th century, there is no relation between Java and Bali and pre-modern India directly. It's the chaotic situation after the Dutch colony, all the trading interrupted by Islam influence, etc., cut our direct relation to Bharatavarsha, to pre-modern India. And we are isolated and using this manuscript construct our religion locally with the local wisdom, and also let's say Dasasila, and we have Patanjali and Sadanga yoga. It's not Patanjali yoga, but we use Sadanga, something like that. So we construct basically our identity through so many manuscripts from pre-Majapahit era, and from up to Majapahit era and up to modern era, and after Sambalinis went to study to BHU, Banaras Hindu University and everything. Yeah. Okay. Because give me 2 minutes, because you give another 2 minutes and 3 minutes when they speak. It is. I would like to say this is our relation is pre-modern India and pre-modern Bali. When we talk about India and Bali relation, we just try to bridge the new relation and based on our limited understanding, and not directly to Dasanama, Sanskrit manual books. That's why we sometimes talking, mostly we are talking, manipulating what we call history. If we not directly read the inscription, the Sanskrit, the key to understand our relation Bali, Indonesia, the pre-modern India and pre-modern Indonesia is through Sanskrit. That's, I think, my recommendation, not to be wide to talk about our relation now and in the modern era. Without Sanskrit, there is, without understanding that knowledge, it is like talking nonsense. It's just, okay, linguistically speaking, like Professor Sucha, very interesting. But my recommendation, maybe this is, I don't want to add another, I don't want to answer another question. But my recommendation, please read Professor Raghuvir if you want to know our relation, Indonesia and Bali and Java. Professor Raghuvir, Lokes Chandra, and Busan Sankar as well. Yeah, Professor Busan Sankar. He make a very big mapping on all inscription in Bali, which mostly using Sanskrit. So through that understanding, we can more understand the deep relation of pre-modern India and pre-modern Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So with this, we come to the end of the session. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you all the speakers. And I will take, maybe you can ask later to them separately, because we are running late for the next session actually. So what they have mentioned is something very true, that if you really want to know, read the authentic books, okay, and go a bit deeper. Okay? If you attend this kind of sessions, workshops, and read authentic books, you will not be manipulated. You will have your own path. You will know more, and you somehow respect your own culture, okay, and every culture. So with this, we come to the end of the session, and now we'll have a photo session together. Please, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give a big round of applause to our chair and also respected speakers of the session. Thank you very much once again for a very insightful discussion. We invite you to have a group photo. Allow me to guide the photo session. Photographers are ready, all right? On my count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Once again, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for this session. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and insights to all of us today. Thank you very much. You may return to your seat. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed with plenary session 2, Divine Encounters Tracing Hindu-Buddhist Influence on Indonesian Civilization. The next plenary session, which is the second plenary session, will be conducted until 1:45 p.m. This topic delves into the profound impact of Hinduism and Buddhism on the cultural landscape of Indonesia. May I invite the chair for the session, Dr. Saru Prasad Ghosh, Director of Makayas. Dr. Saru Prasad Ghosh is an Indian by nationality, writer, and academics by profession. He has served as Registrar, Dean of Academics, and Controller of Examinations in different academic institutes. His doctoral and postdoctoral research dissertation are published in book form by reputed publishers. May I also invite the speaker for the session, the first one, Dr. Made Sri Putri Purnamawati, Chairperson of ISHI Bali. Dr. Made Sri Putri Purnamawati is an accomplished scholar and leader in the field of Hindu studies and ergonomics. Her academic achievements continued with a master's degree in philosophy from Delhi University and a master's in ergonomics and work physiology from Udayana University's Faculty of Medicine, where she also earned her doctoral degree in ergonomics and work physiology in 2013. Welcome. May I also invite our next speaker, Iketut Donder, PhD. He is a distinguished scholar and educator in Hindu theology. With a diverse educational background, he has earned a bachelor's degree in building construction, a master's in Brahma Vidya, and a PhD in Indology. His career spans over several decades, beginning as teacher, and now he is a lecturer at Denpasar State Institute of Hindu Dharma, specializing in Hindu theology. Welcome. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dr. Sashi Bala. Welcome, Professor. Professor Dr. Sashibala, a renowned Indologist, recipient of the highest civilian state award conferred by the President of Mongolia, the Order of the Polar Star, and President International Council of Cultural Studies, Bharat. Let's give her a round of applause. Welcome, Professor. Our next speaker, may I invite Professor Ida Bagus Putu Swamba, PhD. Professor Ida Bagus Putu Swamba, PhD, is a distinguished scholar. Welcome, Professor. Professor Swamba specializes in philosophy and the study of the ancient Balinese texts. He earned his PhD in philosophy from India, and his research has been notable. His work focuses on ancient Balinese texts, particularly sacred letters, and their power application, resulting in the transliteration and translation of over 39 palm manuscripts of Balinese tutur texts. Once again, we would like to inform the chair we will conduct the session until 1:45 p.m. I now hand it over to chair to moderate and lead the discussion for the session. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to welcome the next session. Thank you.
As the person who is conducting this entire conference has already told that we are running short of time, I will not prolong the introductory session because that will unnecessarily create stress on the speakers to complete their papers. So without a long introduction, I will invite Purnamavati Madam to share her views on the topic today.
Om Swastiastu. Namaste. Okay. Today I would like to give a presentation on the role, I give title the role of Indian culture in traditional Balinese health science. Okay, the next. About the history of medical science in Bali, we have the prehistoric Balinese medicine. In any use of medicine from before the invention of writing and the documented history of Balinese medicine. So because of the timing of the invention of writing per culture and religion, the term prehistoric medicine, so Balinese have the prehistoric medicine encompass wide range time period and date. So in Bali, from prehistoric Balinese medicine, they were believed, because, to be able to contact with a spirit. Now we have still the perform about that, what we call Sanghyang, the dance of Sangyang. There is Sangyang Jaran, Sangyang Dadari, and etc. This kind of the prehistoric Balinese medicine. So medicine men, what we call Balian, Juru Balian, have a central figure in the Balinese system because their medical knowledge and because they could seemingly contact with the spirit and gods. So traditional health science in Bali, when medical problem have like developed rapidly in India, there was a direct relationship between India and Bali. So this Usada also infiltrated and was absorbed in Balinese society. And Usada, the system of Balinese medicine, what we call is the word usada, this is the system of Balinese traditional medicine coming from word usadi. This is from a Sanskrit word which means plantation that contain medicine properties. In same area that word usada has been used in Bali, it become wisada. It means the ubat, tamba, or medicine. Actually, today already mentioned about Maharishi Agastya. In the 5th century after the Greeks, Hinduism was spread from India to Indonesia by Maharishi Agastya. And literature, including Ayurveda, entered Indonesia during that period. Ayurveda is a branch like Hindu literature that explain how a person maintain life. Once the very interesting lontar or medical science, what we call Taru Pramana text. This is like Ayurvedic duplicate. This lontar, written by Empu Kuturan after he performed meditation and let God answer occurrence of a disease, this stature. And what is the similar now? Ayurvedic and Taru Pramana, this Usadaya. This is in India, Daivik Pramana is the revelation of Ayurveda among the god and goddess. And starting from the Lord Brahma to the Daksa Prajapati, then down to Ashwin, God Ashwin, and after that, finally to God Lord Indra. And when Laukika Prampa is revelation of Ayurveda from God to the human. But in Bali, that's in Taru Pramana, this is similarity of Usada and Ayurveda be seen in the Daksa Prajapati, who known now as a god of redesign in Puradalam cemetery. And every village in Bali, they have Prajapati temple. In figure in Bali, the gopher revelation of medical knowledge can be concluded that Daksa Prajapati, who passed down the knowledge of medical plants to Empu Kuturan. That could document, until now we can see there's so many write about lontar Taru Pramana. And also once is what we call Usada, has lontar Ratuning Usada, contain the basic of Usada. This is the common disease. And in Ayurvedic, this is similar, is like Brihatrayi, that's with literature on the basic of science of medical science. Okay. So now the role of Indian culture in traditional Balinese health. The development of traditional medicine in Bali has developed in accordance with Indonesian culture. So but still the basic of the medicine from Atharva Veda and Ayurvedic healing. This is like, this is the god of medicine, Sangyang Vishnu. So this mantra, maybe this is, and Sangyang Vishnu is the rule of North, Utara, and Sudarsana Chakra. And now we pray in Ulundanu Temple, located in Bangli Regency. But the prayer may be quite a little bit different with Indian style. So we use like ceremony, we call Peras, Sesayut, Ratu Agung, and every people who working in healing or healer, they ask, we pray to have Tirta Pawitra and with Balinese ceremony. So this is how the God Vishnu, what we call in Bali Sangyang Vishnu, every healer we are going to pray of Vishnu. And after that we have this Sangyang Siwa. Sangyang Siwa with mantra already mentioned, yeah. So there's we pray in Besakeh Temple. So also the same how we pray with Balinese ceremony. And after that the Sangyang Brahma is very important for the healing, if we are doing healing in Bali. So the ceremony we call Daksina, and after that Sesayut Chandrageni. So we have Tirta Kamandalu. This is we give for treatment in medical science, traditional medical science in Bali. So this mantra still using Sanskrit and also Balinese, old Javanese, like Ong dande yantu namo tasmetik sana narayawe namo namaha. Daksina desa raksa baya kala rajasta jayang satru ong kalebyo nama swaha. This mantra he's using by healer in Bali to asking to have the Tirta Kamandalu. And after that, we have Sang Hyang Mahadewa. This is we use Banten Danan, Sesayut Tirta Mertasari to have what we call it for healing Tirta Kundalini. So in Bali, the Sang Hyang Mahadewa we pray in Batu Karu Temple in Tabanan Regency.
Madam, please.
Yeah, yes. Okay, and there is this is also Dewa Iswara in Lempuyang Temple, and also this Dewa Sambu we worship in Besaki. Now, also, I'm very nervous after 3 minutes I give the time. The role Indian when during the region of Waturenggong Bhagawan name that Dangyang Dwijendra come from East Java, and this is he was man of very high knowledge in field of medical science. So there are various kind of usada written on palm emerged sat usada sari, Buddha Kecapi, Kalima usada, Taru Pramana, Dharma usada. This usada dalam, this is for eternal disease, netra and sasah babai for mental disease, buduh, usada buduh, madness and tetangar beling, diagnosis for pregnancy, and for poison. And this, a more deep, some part of content of this Ayurveda as taken in our traditional medical book or usada, lontar usada. So now, how is the relation traditional health in Bali in Indian culture?
May I remind the time is up?
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah. So this is physiology of nature. I think all the regency who have influenced by Hinduism, they have. So we have the polyphysiology, what we call this Omkara. And this one also Aksara, Roa Beneda, dan etc. And we have also the physiology, that according to Buana Kosa, that body is what we call Buana Alit. So, okay, I will explain. This is Omkaragani. This is also spiritual physiology, how to apply in medical science. And also Omkara Sabda. That's the different Omkara. We have so many various Omkara. We have Omkara Pasah. And that's the influence of Indian culture on traditional knowledge and medical science in Bali is very important, from introduction of script and medical practice to the philosophy of Vedic medicine. Thank you very much. That's my presentation. I hope I can share the knowledge of Balinese traditional science for all the participants. Thank you very much. Santi.
Thank you, madam, for your deliberation. We are sorry that we are running short of time, and I have to be doing the unpleasant job of reminding you about the time. Your paper on the role of Indian culture in traditional Balinese health science has been a very unique one. You have touched how Sanskrit and Pali has influenced your culture and your concept on health science. You have also touched on the works of Ayurveda In India, it is known as the fifth Veda, and there is a caste in India known as the Vaidya caste, who generally we say the Vaidya caste is the persons whose ancestors were Kaviraj, and they used to study Ayurveda and do practice in Ayurveda. Now you have also touched about the medicinal plants, which has been very popular in India and your country. With your subject, we will be doing more study in due course of time. Now I will invite Ketut Dandarji for his deliberation on his paper, remembering for a moment the relationship between India and the civilization we have in Bali.
Om Swastiastu. Namaste, Namaskar. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuru Nimiletanyena Tatsmai Sri Gurave Namah. Om Saraswati Namustubhyam Varadeka Merupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavantu Mesadam. Om Santi. Thank you very much for my time. Actually, I have very difficult to give information completely by only 15 minutes because I'm a teacher. Regularly I teach 2.45 minutes. So please my PowerPoint, not PDF. What is silakan PowerPoint saya. Mana PowerPoint? My title paper, remembering for a moment the relationship between Indian and Nusantara civilization. I hope my PowerPoint showing the not yet come. I have prepare my PowerPoint until 45 pages, very long. So, impossible to share all this. But the first of all, I very proud in this occasion because we are present in this room. Actually, we are practice of the Vedic teaching. I think that all of you know about the mantra Gacha Dvam Samvadadvam Samvu Manam Si Janatam Dewa Bhagam Yata Purve. So we are come here to speaking together. Masa bisa begitu itu? Gimana ini? bisa nanti trouble anu saya. Ya. Sorry about the technical. So again, I remember that we are very proud that we are come in this place, in this room, practice about our Vedic teaching. We find in the Rigveda Mandala 10, Sukta 191, Mantram 2 until 4. Gasaduam sanbuat doadbam sambu manam si janatam dewa bagam yata puri samjana upasate. And then we also find in the Yajurveda, Adhyaya 36, Mitrasya ma chakshusha sarvani bhutani samikshantam, Mitrasya chakshusha sarvani bhutani samikshe, Mitrasya chakshusha samikshe mahi. And then in the last of the Subhasita, I think that this is very important, very significant. Ayam pandurayam neti gananam lagu cetasam udara caritam tu wasu dewa kutumbakam. So now we are come in this place, in this room. We are brought all of you, come from many places, many country. We are come together as one family. Now I will see my PowerPoint. So enter, yeah. Enter the, yeah. So I think that me, this is very incredible. The ancient ancestors were able to cross a very large ocean. So when I make this paper, I like these people. So confused and sometimes what technology use our ancestors cross the country. And then enter, very quick, you can enter all because I no speak all this. You enter all. Yeah. This is, I think that many people will say this. Enter. Very, very quick because this is 45. Yeah. So I will remember, we will remember that like that our ancestor come. Very danger his journey, their journey. Okay, enter. This is very, very significant in my paper. I will read this. Since hundreds of years, Western Oriental scholars have some of negative motive in writing history book about the East. This is very important. When I study in Rabindra Bharati University, my supervisor give to make summaries of book, and I choose this book, The True History in the Region of India, 1,000 pages. Today, the negative motive of Western Orientalist scholar and search in the internet and various books, numerous websites and books which explain about negative motive of more Western scholar. Among of them, there are some important books to read, namely the first, A Tribute to Hinduism, Thought and Wisdom Spanning a Continent and Time about Indian and their Culture, written by Susama Londe. This is very good book if we know about how the history about Indian Hindu hidden by Western. Very good. He wrote that she living in the West for decades. She witnessed the negative portrayal of Hindu in the Western media as well as on television. Second, the true history and the religion of India, a concise encyclopedia of authentic Hinduism written by Swami Prakasanda Saraswati. He described that the account of this book revealed the complete history, philosophy, and knowledge of eternal divine scripture and the divinity of Bharatiya religion in precise manner. Thus, its concise encyclopedia of authentic Hinduism produced to the first time in 4 years. There is one thing which is very important, is that even though the study Orientalists given benefit to develop of Vedic knowledge, but there is organized effort to destroy the culture and the religion and mutilation of Hinduism by Sri William Jones. The personal secret suggestion to John to Warner Hastings, Governor General of India, where he explained his plan of how to destroy the religion fight of the Hindu of India, which is deep not in their heart. Hadirin yang saya hormati yang berbahasa Indonesia, buku ini sangat memberikan rahasia tentang strategi Barat, strategi Western untuk menghancurkan hubungan antara India dan negara-negara lain supaya menghancurkan sejarah India. Oleh sebab itu di Indonesia sejak tahun 50-an bisa baca di polemik kebudayaan, Sultan Takdir Ali Sabana sengaja menyuruh bangsa Indonesia untuk melupakan hubungannya dengan India. Sengaja, bisa baca bukunya itu masih terbit sampai sekarang itu. Kalau mau maju negara Indonesia harus tinggalkan kebudayaan Indonesia yang berbau India. Itu sangat berbahaya, kita bisa baca di sini. Kemudian berikut, this is very good book also. And then enter again. Ini buku yang bagus sekali juga menceritakan bahwa Hindu in the ancient time spread to over to the world, because Hindu is the first religion and the oldest religion. So in ancient, very ancient time, Hindu is the religion of the world. Enter lagi. Ini buku tentang buku-buku yang sangat baik, yakni the second book, All About Hinduism, Vedas and Fast of Present. Ini buku dikarang oleh Asok Tyagi, orang konglomerat orang India tinggal di Surabaya. Jadi bisa dihubungi, ini bagus sekali bukunya. Kemudian buku yang lain, The Global Story of Hindu Civilization bagi Sudarkar. Ini bagus sekali bukunya, lebih dari 1000 halaman. Ya, kemudian enter lagi. Nah, buku ini paling lengkap sejarah tentang bagaimana India melakukan perjalanan ke Indonesia. Paling lengkap buku ini. Enter ya itu. Dan kemudian isinya, many important proof about Indian and Indonesian relationship since ancient time till today. But because of time, then it will be show only 3 important things as follow. The most important Indian export was cotton textile, which would be in max demand across the Indian. And the second, Indian important include China's silk, fur, and then number 3, this is Demeritus, a student of Greek philosophy, who was wrongly accused of from. Yes, sir. Yes. Karena waktunya saya coba enter terus ya, enter terus. Ya, itu yang materi-materi saya, terus enter lagi. Ya, enter. Ya. I give many information in that place, but I can speak all. Ya, itu tentang teori bagaimana India bisa berkembang di Indonesia. Terus enter sampai habis. Ya, cepat saja. Ya, ya, terus, ya, ya, terus, ya, begitu sampai di Bali. Oke. Nah, ke atas sedikit. Sorry, 5 minutes. Nah, this is cerita tentang Markandeya. Markandeya, kalau menurut pakar senior Pak Sugilanus, ini tidak bisa diceritakan sebagai sejarah katanya. Masih dalam, ya. Okay. This is very important if we study about the belief system very strong in Bali, because Balinese Hindu very believe that many temple in Bali established by him. Oke, terus sampai kesimpulan saja. Kesimpulan, ya. So my conclusion, ya. Sebelum konklusi, coba lihat dulu sebelum konklusi. Ya, ya. This is our Padmasana. We are make the ceremonial with Ida Resi with ya. Nah ini bukti bahwa kita melanjutkan hubungan dengan India gitu ya. Jadi konklusinya, all of the above reference describe that Hindu religion is the oldest religion come from India and spread natural to all direction, including Nusantara or Indonesia. There are 5 theory, and then the last, the Vaishya theory described that Hindu spread to Nusantara because of Indian trade Nusantara, and then the Sudra theory described that Hindus spread to Nusantara because of Indian worker come and work in Nusantara. All of the theory are achieved by some scholar, and it's still debatable. Whatever the story explained above, all of the theory are relative. The fact is that by the will of God Almighty, Hinduism has exists for thousands of years in Indonesia until today. I'm sorry, maybe my presentation not so close. At the end, I will speak Om Santi, 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 Om.
Thank you for your deliberation. We do understand that you have a lot of documents, but there was a shortage of time. We can't help it. We have to keep to the time which we are given to. But you have stressed on the universal oneness which Hinduism preaches, irrespective of the innate diversities we have in civilizations. In your summary, you have told that you have done research on the books from P.S. Mishra-ji, Swami Shivananda-ji, Ashok Tyagi-ji, and Sudhakar Raje-ji. I will request you go through the book of Swami Harshananda-ji, Hindu Encyclopedia. That will help you a lot in your discourse on Hinduism. You have also touched the point of law of karma. Now this karma yoga is understood in different ways. Many understands karma yoga that I do my karma without any stress of corruption or any stress of allurement, and I'm doing karma yoga. Karma yoga is not sakam karma. Karma yoga is nishkam karma. I do the job without any expectation of award or reward, whatever. I'm doing it without any expectation out of my love for the job. That is karma yoga. Now Vivekananda has a great paper on karma yoga. And if we go through the Ramayana, the 4 brothers, they define 4 yogas. Ramachandra is the manifestation of Gyan Yoga. Lakshmana is the manifestation of Bhakti Yoga. Bharata is the manifestation of Karma Yoga. And Satrughna is the manifestation of Raj Yoga. So yoga is understood in different ways. It has a physical implication, but the most important is the spiritual implication. And you have touched the Varnashram Dharma. That also, you have rightly told, Varnashrama is not based on birth. It was based on work. It was not based on hereditary kinship-based groups. It was on the basis of karma. And we know that Gayatri Mantra, which the Brahmins chants, was written by Vishwamitra, was not a born Brahmin. He was a non-Brahmin who wrote, and later he was promoted to the status of a Brahmin. So there was a scope of changing the caste as per your merit. And Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar also wrote a book, Who Were the Shudras? And that book also has told that the Shudra community, from the Shudra community, many people came who are learned, like in Mahabharata, Vidura. After Sri Krishna, Vidura was the most educated person, and Vidura was the Dashiputra. So it was not, Varnashram Dharma was not to insult anyone. It was just on the basis of work, you get the Varna. And at the end, I will say 2 points you have raised, Buddhism and Hinduism as the oldest religion on earth. Swamiji represented Hinduism. We are doing this seminar in the month of September. He represents Hinduism in the Parliament of Religions 11th of September. And in the introductory just paragraph, he told, I thank you in the name of most ancient order of monks. I thank you in the name of mother of all religions. And he ends it, I thank you in the name of millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and sects. Vivekananda has not used the term caste even. He told classes, because the caste system which we follow was not there in the Vedas. It was on the basis of work. And at the end, Buddhism. Vivekananda, in the series of Chicago lectures, Vivekananda told Buddhism is the fulfillment of Hinduism. And he told that Shakyamuni was born a Hindu, Shakyamuni died a Hindu. And Hinduism is the logical development and the logical conclusion. Buddhism, the logical development and the logical conclusion of Hinduism. So as we go through these words of Vivekananda and the words as written by Swami Harshananda thereafter, I think your paper will get enriched more. You have given a wonderful paper. I have followed your slides more because you have told something in your own language which I don't understand. That's why I followed your slides, and it was a wonderful slide. And we will try to publish it. Keep in touch with us. We will do the needful so that this work of yours get published. Thank you. Now we will invite our next speaker, Professor Dr. Shashi Balaji, who will be speaking on voyage of our dear Sri Dipankar, Atisha Dipankar to Indonesia.
Om Swastiastu. Ambassador Sandeep Chakravarti, Shashank Vikramji, and Dr. Ghosh, and all the other delegates, brothers and sisters. Please permit me to give just 2 to 3 minutes because there is some confusion, because normally what people think in Indonesia and in India is that Poet Tagore visited Indonesia in 1926, but after that there was not much interaction. But I want to bring to you this just a few points that how it was carried forward. I'm going to talk about Dr. Raghuvira a few minutes. Yeah. Dr. Raghuvira is almost forgotten, and his work is almost forgotten in India and also in Indonesia. I could find a few scholars here in this gathering also and otherwise also who know about his work, such an immense work that is done by him. He started working on Indonesia in 1926. He left for studying further in Holland under the Dutch scholars in 1929. He met a number of Indonesian scholars, especially Priya Hutomo, and explored Indo-Indonesian linkages through archaeology, culture, text, and then he studies Balinese, Sanskrit texts, and also it was acknowledged by President Sukarno that the freedom struggle in Indonesia was for getting inspiration from the book written by Dr. Raghuvira. He himself was inspired by him to be a freedom fighter. So when he was here, he went to many places. He spent a lot of time here. He went to Singaraja. He went to Kirtiagadung to see the Lontas. He went to the temple of Varun. He went to see the King Tishna in his hut. King Tishna has left his palace and went to a hut. So he met Padandas and learnt about puja, all these things, and he had presented a long list of 2,000 lontars which he wanted from President Sukarno, and he gifted him many, and there is a very good collection in his academy, International Academy of Indian Culture. And this was, and again, it did not stop here. Following the visit of Dr. Raghuvira, Dr. Rajendra Prasad came here, and he could see, he acknowledged the impact of the visit. And after that, Prime Minister of Indonesia, Ali Sastra Ami Jayo, he went to India, and he was welcomed in the Parliament, Indian Parliament. So my suggestion is to build some kind of memorial in the name of Dr. Raghuvira. The then governor of Bali was so influenced by him that he gave names to his two sons in the name of Raghuvira. The names that he gave were Veeraguna and Veeradharma. So the impact was not only the impact, but later on, the members of his family did a lot of work, edited many texts and published. So I cannot talk in detail, but I will present this small biography of Dr. Raghuvira to the Indian Embassy and the Consulate here, so that we know what kind of work was done and how important it is and how we can carry forward. So now I come to Dipankar Shri Janana, because so far we have been talking about Indian impact on Indonesia, but I am talking the other way, that how Indonesian knowledge was taken by Atisha to India and from there to Tibet. And it became so important, whatever philosophy he brought from there. Atisha, I will be very, very brief in talking about. Atisha was born in Vajrayogini village, and now it is in Bangladesh. There is a memorial built, so I just cut it short. What he did, where was he holding important positions in the universities of India. Next. Yeah, this is the mural from Tibetan monastery, Drepung monastery. I'm showing you these pictures because I don't know if you have any painting or statue of Acharya Dharmakirti in Indonesia. In India, we don't have. But in Indonesia, if you have, please do share the information with me. This is the birth of Atisha. Next. And now I come to the journey taken by Atisha. It was so perilous. At that time, you see, Atisha had studied under around 100 gurus in India. But Acharya Dharmakirti of Suvarnadvipa was so famous, even at that time, that Atisha came to study under him. So he had already studied Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Tantrism, and all kinds of 64 arts, including Mahasangika. So I'm not going into the details. But what he wanted to carry from his here was important, is very, very important because of the mind training. He had met Acharya Dharmakirti from Suvarnadvipa in Nalanda. It is written in his biography. The journey here, you know, all the acharyas, all the people, all the traders, whoever came, they had to face all these difficulties, as is shown here when Atisha was coming to Indonesia. But Suvarnadvipa was not only just filled with precious minerals, but it was a great center of knowledge, as we can prove through, there are many such proofs that we can give. So I just skip here. So Atisha was initiated into the secrets of attaining saintly path at an early age, but still he wanted to learn more about the 7-point mind training regarding contemplation from the sutras and shastras. So he meditated on goddess Tara, who was the tutelary deity, and he asked her, requested her to tell him that what he should do. So it is said that Devi Tara appeared and told him that he should go to Suvarnadvipa and meet 3 masters. So I'm coming to the 3 masters who gave training to Atisha. But where did they give? Next slide, please. Where did they give? As in our informal conversation, somebody told me that the Gurukula of Dharmakirti is identified. I did not know before this. I know about some temples, they are ruined now, but if it is identified, there should be some memorial built, because Atisha in the 10th, 11th century was here and he took the knowledge from here. It's very, very historically important, and somewhere it should be, a memorial should be built. So I just show you, next please. Yeah, remains of another complex in Muaro Jambi. Next. Yeah, again another. Next. There were many temples and they were full of statues. So I'm just skipping here. Next. Yeah, previous one. This is the Drepung Monastery in Tibet, from where I got the murals of Dharmakirti. Next, please.
Professor, may I invite, the time is up. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So, these are the murals depicting the life of Atisha. Next. Yeah, here is Acharya Dharmakirti. He is called Serlingpa in Tibet, and his Atisha is sitting below, receiving the treasure vase containing all kinds of wisdom. A vase is one of the 8 auspicious symbols that is held by Dharmakirti of Indonesia. Next. Yeah, and Devi Tara is so popular all over the Buddhist world, but when Atisha came, this temple was already existed, Chandi Kalasan. Next. Chandi Sari, that also existed here when Atisha came. From Atisha, Devi Tara was already known in India and worshipped. Atisha's next. Atisha's tutelary deity was Devi Tara. Next. Yeah, this is the image of Devi Tara that was always carried by Atisha wherever he went. Next. So, and when he departed, when he left, there is a lot of, I'm just cutting short all this. So, when he left Indonesia, Acharya Dharmakirti told him that he should go to Tibet to spread the Dharma. And when he was leaving, then he wrote 6 different texts for him. I will share the text later on. I have all the texts what he gave, but only one of them. And all those 6 texts were taken from Indonesia to Tibet by Acharya Atisha. But only one of them is identified by one of my gurus. He was Indonesian, Javanese, Mas Brahm. He had identified that this manuscript in Tibet, in the Labrang monastery, is 900 years old palm leaf manuscript, and that is a precious relic from Indonesia to Tibet next. And this is the Labrang monastery where it is kept. So now we have to study all the details about it, and my request is to build a memorial somewhere where the Gurukula of Dharmakirti is identified, and we celebrate the legacy, we celebrate the history, we celebrate the Guru Shishya Parampara. So with these words, I thank you all for giving this an opportunity, inviting me to share some of my research.
Thank you, ma'am, for your deliberation. I am not making any comments because I have been told there is no time and not to make any comments. So I straightway go to the next speaker, Professor Ida Bagushji, for his deliberation.
Swastiastu. Namaskar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Namo Buddhaya, salam. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. My topic is on Siwa Buddha cult in Indonesia, a review. It has been almost 18 years I am working on this. All right, because we are running out of time, so I'll try to speak fast and just following the slides I prepared. So if we see the maps, Indonesia and India is very close. If we see Nicobar and Andaman Islands, so we are really neighbors. So it is not strange when Indian influences, Indian cultures has spread over this archipelago since time immemorial. So according to history, the first millenniums, India has been in globals. So it is amazing cultures, and the imprints of Indian cultures in Indonesia is so many. One of them is I will like to talk about Siwa and Buddha. In India, Buddhism and Veda has been developing so fast. But from philosophical study, it seems that the two are having a different approach in looking at the realities. The first one, we call it Vedic cultures, and the second one, Brahmanic cultures. The first one adopting the views of Astika, and the second one is Nastika. And since my experience in India, the two, it seems there is no meeting points. But when it travels across the borders in Indonesia, especially in Java, so both Saivisms and Buddhisms are meeting together. It's become Siwa Buddha cult. And what is preserved and inherited in Bali nowadays. So this is the main topics. If we see Sanji Stupa, for example, is a landmarks of Buddhism in India. And many Sivalingas, temples in South India, Jyotirlingas, and so many in around India is landmarks of Saivism develops in. If we talk about philosophical point of view, what we have in Kashmir, Kashmir Saivisms. In South India, we have Veera Saivism in Karnataka, and Saivasdanta in South India. Those are a very big tradition of Saivisms, which in some cases influence us in Indonesia. Okay, the spreads of Indian cultures start from the first millennium. The emergence of the roles of Hindu-Buddhist kingdom in South Asia, two big religion traditions, Saivism in Buddhism is very pertinent, so we can see. So what we have in Myanmar, in Thailand, in Cambodia, in Siam, in those islands in Indonesia, it's very clear Saivisms and Buddhism, especially in old Japanese periods, developed, especially in East period on Majapahit periods. See, the earliest archaeological remains shows that the Indian influences had existed since the 4th century AD, as shown by 7 pillar inscriptions in the form of Yupa found in Kutai Burden. This is the first evidence archaeologically, the Indian influence in Indonesia. The inscriptions have high aesthetic quality, written in Pallava scripts, but the language used in Sanskrit. Next. So the Borobudur Buddhist temples in Prambanas are considered two landmarks of Saivism and Buddhism. It's a very beautiful. So I suggest you, if you go to Indonesia, please go and see Borobudur and Prambanan. This is really beautiful, as you see, like Sanchi Stupa Sanchis, and many big temples in South, like in Chindambaram, in Tanjavur, our friends from Chandawar also happens. Meenakshi temple in Madura, and so many big temples in South India I have visited also. So Indonesia now is a meeting points of those Indian traditions. It's like a Sangam. If we talk about Triveni, Saraswati and Muaganga, it's like it's a meeting points of Indian cultures in Indonesia. So, but there exists what is called localizations. It's not really, now when we can ask, is it Borobudur Indian cultures or Indonesian cultures? So everyone will see this is Indonesian cultures. But the roots, the influence, we can see from India. Okay, next, because we don't have much time, I will be running. Now, when we see our national motto, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which are the diversities in unite, it is very clear that, sorry, we have only 5 minutes, so how can we? This is very clear that we promote, both India and Indonesia promote pluralisms in so many aspects of lives. And we feel that for those diversity in Indonesia, so many islands, cultures, linguistics, elements, it is only can be united through the literatures which is written in Sutta Soma by Mputan Tular, which is basically Buddhist teachings. So we are not united by economic power, not by political power and so forth, but it's only by cultures written by a poet. This is a fact. That's our national motto, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika in our Pancasila. Right, next. Then we see batik in Java and also in Bali. You see, there are harmonious combination of colors showing reflecting our Indian as well as our Indonesian cultures. See, all the important phases through which Mahayana Buddhism passed in India, including tantric modes of worship, also witnessed in Java. And we have also evidence of every extensive study of Buddhist texts on wide range of. Yes, so we have so many texts, both on Saivism and in Buddhism. So many texts of this, and this is a proof that the evidence, the influence and spreading of Buddhism and Saivism in Indonesia is so very extensive, especially on Japanese periods. Okay. Now, the existence of Indian influence exists between 7th to 14th century when Hinduism and Buddhism grew and developed, leaving so many cultural influence. And Sailira dynasty in central Java in 7th century and Srivijaya in 8th century in Sumatra were begetting emperor of Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism. So Srivijaya in this case played a very important role in spreading of Mahayana Buddhism in Indonesia as a center of learning. If the people go to India, this would be through Nalanda in North India. It should be to see Srivijaya first to study Indian culture, especially Pali and Sanskrit. Okay, then Majapahit dynasty in Central Java in the 14th century, Warmadeva and Sri Krishna Kapaiksan dynasty in Bali. Those are propagating Hinduism, especially Saivism. Okay, next, because we don't have time, we have so many texts written in Sanskrit as well as in Japanese, including Sangyang Mahayanikan. It is very celebrating text on Mahayana Buddhism. It is written in Sanskrit as well as in Old Japanese. And then we have so many other works of prose, Kawins, Sutta Soma, Arjuna Vijaya, etc. Okay. Okay, now we see the fusion of Saivism and Buddhism. We can divide it into 3 periods. On the pre-Majapahit periods, during Majapahit period and the post-Majapahit periods. What is travels to Bali, and we preserve and heritage Siva Buddha in Bali. Okay, during the East Japanese periods, Shaivism and Buddhism live peacefully side by side. Diffusion, or rather the approximation between the two regions, has existed in ancient Central Java. Now we have seen Yang Aloni in ancient Java, and see, as because very short times, the question maybe happens, why Shaivism and Buddhism in India is not mixing together, becomes one religion, but what we have in Java, especially in East Javanese periods, it become Asivabad cults. Some scholars notice the role of Tantrism, so Tantrayana is very pertinent to bring the two closer and mix together, become a Siva Buddha cults. So in this case, both Buddhism and Shaivism in Bali especially is very tantric, is very much influenced by tantrics. If we talk about Buddhism in Bali, it is a tantric Buddhism, especially Vajrayana Buddhism, as well as on Shaivism. So the influence of tantrics in the levels of ethics as well as on religious practice is very, very clear. So the priest, Buddhist priest as well as Saiva priest is also following Tantrisms.
Professor, may I inform you the time is up?
I'm sorry because of time. So what I can see in the last is, so Shaivism and Buddhism now in Bali has become a Siva Buddha cult. And what is called Hinduism in Bali is basically the role, the core of Balinese Hinduism is Siva Buddha cult. In big ceremonies, usually the people will invite both priests, Siva Buddha, to officiate a yajna or rituals. And up to now, we inherit this tradition Siva Buddha cult in Indonesia. So because of time, I'm very sorry, thank you very much. If you like to see, I write books in Indonesian, Siva Buddha in Indonesia. So thank you very much. And
thank you, sir, for your deliberation. If there is any question, I will take 2 questions just, and then call it a day. Yes. I have a question. Madam gave me a question which has been served to her. You can answer it if you want.
This is a question from Ari Devi. So said, hello, Sri Purnamawati, thank you for sharing. I'm very interested in the development of Balinese traditional medicine, especially since there is traditional medicine polyclinic in Bali Mandara Hospital. I want to ask, in the midst of advent of modern medicine, how in the future of the traditional healing system, it is possible to use as primary treatment, or it is only complementary? Thank you. So this is how about Balinese traditional medicine. Last month, I go to conference of traditional medicine. So Balinese, they said that's like ultra modern. And so many from Europe to visit Bali for healing. And now also in Ubud, I think there is special, so many healing growing up now. This is already like trend, and now in hospital Bali Mandara, there's also the traditional and Balinese traditional healing. So many people searching now and becoming grow up, and even in our university in Brahma Vidya Faculty, Sugriwa Hindu University, there is also we have like yoga and health, and we have class for traditional medicine, and also Ayurvedic is the one subject in our faculty. So for me, that modern medicine also growing very good, And this also now most of people, I think, tired in modern medicine, starting go to, it is one person, I think, I see one village in Jawa, middle of Jawa, special one village that's, they know how to manage the broken, this is special, one village, they know how to treatment of traditional medicine. What is the name? Oka, yeah, yesterday. What is the name of that village when we visit in Jogja? The special people who doing healing in Tulung. Yeah. Yeah, satu desa, that's one village they have generate for Ayurvedic. Thank you very much. Yeah.
If you want to ask your question, please ask your question. You who raised your hand, yes. This is the last question I am taking.
Yes.
Before concluding that session. Thank you. Start.
I also would like to address my questions to Dr. Made Sri Putri. I'm really keen with your presentations in the topics of tracing Hindu-Buddhist tradition of Indonesia, and really catch my eye since my thesis is related to wellness tourism. So what I would like to ask is about the Usara Bali, the traditional health science based on Ayurveda. Is this any in India culture that's similar with the Usara Bali, and are they used with the like kind of mantra in the process of healing? And also, what is the scope of disease that can be cured by this Usada? Thank you.
To whom you are asking this question?
I am addressing to Dr. Made Putri.
Thank you very much. For sure that we have so many kind of lontar usada. That's during period of Singosari, Majapahit, and after that Udayana, from Udayana tradition, and like Taru Pramana. Taru Pramana, that's why in every cemetery in Puradalam, we have Prajapati. So the similar like in Ayurvedic, goddess to Brahma, and after that two god and goddess, and after that two Daksa Prajapati. But in Bali, from Daksa Prajapati, from goddess of Saraswati. So Saraswati is the main goddess for people who doing healing in Bali, and after that to Prajapati and Empu Kuturan. I think that's, and if you go to the government branch of literature in postdoc, there is so many Usada scripts still available.
Thank you. Thank you all. Let's move for lunch.
Thank you very much. Let's give a big round of applause for this session. Thank you to Honorable Chair and also our esteemed speakers. We would like to invite you to have a group photo for the chair and speakers on the stage. Photographers ready? On my count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Once again, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much for a very insightful session to our Honorable Chair and also our distinguished speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for us to have a lunch break until 2:45. Once again, at 2:45, we will continue with the next agenda, which is the MOU signing. Lunch will be provided, the same place as the coffee has been provided today. We invite you to enjoy lunch in this hall, and we will proceed with the next agenda, MOU signing at 2:45. Thank you very much. Enjoy the lunch break.